Chapter 1920. Why is he here? Upon hearing Lian's voice, Duan Lingtian frowned. He no longer continued to comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier. Up until now, he had already spent 6 months on the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda to comprehend the Black Turtle's barrier. However, after 6 months he had only managed to scratch the surface of it. Perhaps, just scratching the surface of it would be enough to satisfy the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were comprehending the Black Turtle's barrier. However, Duan Lingtian was not interested in it at all. In the past, regardless of whether it was the elementary devouring tactic or the otherworldly celestial, which were both high-grade divine abilities, it did not take him long to successfully comprehend them and master them. However, after spending an entire half a year, he had only managed to comprehend the surface of the Black Tortoise's barrier. Naturally, he felt dissatisfied. Others were unaware of Duan Lingtian's progress in comprehending the Black Turtle's barrier. If those Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who had spent so much effort to comprehend the Black Turtle's barrier but to no avail learned about Duan Lingtian's progress in comprehending the Black Turtle's barrier, they would be so jealous that their eyes would turn red. If they knew what Duan Lingtian was thinking right now, they would want nothing more than to kick him twice to vent the anger in their hearts. It seems like it's because of Gu Chun. A thought flashed in Duan Lingtian's mind. He instantly guessed the reason why Lian came to his door in anger. Based on the current situation, this was the only reason. Although Duan Lingtian had already guessed why Lian had come looking for him with ill intentions, he did not seem worried at all when he looked at Duan Lingtian's expression. His expression was calm as though he would not bat an eyelid even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him. With just a thought, Duan Lingtian left the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. After putting the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda away, Duan Lingtian pushed the door open and walked out of the Tertius house. As soon as Duan Lingtian walked out of the Tertius house, he noticed several thousand pairs of eyes were trained on him. He instantly became the center of attention. Among them there were 2 particularly special gazes. When those 2 gazes looked at him, they faintly revealed bone-chilling coldness, and were filled with cold-killing intent. Before he could raise his head to look at the owner of these 2 gazes, Duan Lingtian had already guessed who they were. It must be Lian and Gu Chun. The reason Duan Lingtian could easily guess that it was Lian and his disciple was because he did not have any conflicts with anyone in the Black Turtle Sanctum other than Lian and his disciple, let alone someone who hated him. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples looked at Duan Lingtian with pity in their eyes. "Elder Lian, why are you looking for me?" Duan Lingtian leaped into the air. A moment later he was in the air not far from Lian. He looked at Lian calmly as if nothing had happened. "Duan Lingtian, how dare you?" When the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples was still shocked by Duan Lingtian's calmness, Lian's eyes turned cold as he suddenly shouted. His voice was like a clap of thunder, shocking the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were not prepared for this at all. Some of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples with lower cultivation bases were so shocked that their faces turned pale. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian, who was involved, remained calm from the beginning until the end. His expression did not change at all because of Lian's shout. Even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him, his expression would not change at all. Duan Lingtian seems to have really angered Elder Lian. I've been in the Black Turtle Sanctum for 6 years, but this is my first time seeing Elder Lian so angry. I really don't understand what Duan Lingtian has done to make him so angry. We'll find out soon. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves as they watched the scene unfold before their eyes. To them this was like a good show. "Elder Lian, what do you mean by that? Forgive me for not understanding." Duan Lingtian asked with a puzzled expression on his face as he frowned slightly under the watchful eyes of the others. Duan Lingtian stopped pretending. At this moment, before Lian could speak, Gu Chun, who was standing behind him, could not help but shout angrily, "You crippled my innate spiritual root, and you're still trying to act dumb." "Crippled your innate spiritual root?" Upon hearing Gu Chun's words, the confused expression on Duan Lingtian's face disappeared. It was replaced with a strange expression. He immediately looked at Gu Chun and sneered. "Gu Chun, even if you want to slander me, shouldn't you at least find a reasonable reason? Crippling your innate spiritual root? Do you think I, Duan Lingtian, can do that? Do you think we're idiots, or do you think Elder Lian is an idiot?" When Duan Lingtian reached the end of his sentence, he looked at Gu Chun as though he was looking at an idiot. "You." Gu Chun became even more furious when he saw Duan Lingtian refuse to admit it. This made him even angrier. At this moment, not only was Duan Lingtian looking at him as though he was an idiot, But even the thousands of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene were looking at him as though he was an idiot as well. Gu Chun said Duan Tian crippled his innate spiritual root? What a joke. Who doesn't know the innate spiritual root is hidden in the depths of one's soul? If one wants to touch the innate spiritual root, one must touch the soul. Even a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse can't cripple a person's innate spiritual root without destroying his soul. He doesn't even know how to lie. Does Gu Chun really think we're idiots like him? Even if he wants to slander Duan Tian, he should find a reasonable reason. How ridiculous. Elder Lian, you're here for this? Don't tell me he believes Gu Chun's words? The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene discussed among themselves. Based on their words, none of them believed Gu Chun's words. What he said went against all common sense. At the same time, many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples looked at Lian strangely. Lian was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder. Since they were from the Black Turtle Sanctum, it was only natural that they did not dare to say anything about him. After all, there was only one Duan Tian. Although they did not dare to say it out loud, some of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were familiar with each other began to discuss among themselves through voice transmissions. If Elder Lian really believes Gu Chun, he's an idiot like him. I don't think Elder Lian will believe Gu Chun. If he doesn't believe him, why did he come in such a menacing manner as though he wants to get even with Duan Tian? Perhaps he's just looking for an excuse to get rid of Duan Tian. Although we don't think Duan Tian would destroy Gu Chun's innate spiritual root, we don't think Duan Tian would do that. However, if Duan Tian's accusation is confirmed, it would mean he has violated the Zoroastrianism's rule. This is also considered as crippling a fellow disciple. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? If he confirms Duan Tian's accusation, he'll have a legitimate reason to kill Duan Tian and even kill Duan Tian. Elder Lian is so ruthless. Similar discussions spread among the thousands of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples through voice transmissions. At this moment, a hint of dread could be seen in their eyes when they looked at Lian. They finally realized how ruthless the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder was. This Silver Flame Elder was really capable of doing anything to achieve his goal. At the same time, the pity in their eyes intensified when they looked at Duan Tian again. Many people sighed inwardly. They did not think Duan Tian would be able to survive today. Duan Tian. Under the watchful eyes of the others, Lian finally spoke. His voice was cold as he said, I know you won't admit that you destroyed my disciple's innate spiritual root, but it's true that my direct disciple, Gu Chun, has lost his innate spiritual root. Lord Sanctum, leader of the Black Turtle Sanctum, has personally confirmed this matter. When Lian reached the end of his sentence, his eyes gleamed coldly. Lian's words stunned the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene. They did not expect Lian would bring up the Sanctum leader of the Black Turtle Sanctum. In the Black Turtle Sanctum, the Sanctum leader was a supreme being. If Lian was lying, it would be equivalent to disrespecting the Sanctum leader. The Sanctum leader would definitely not let him go. It was precisely because of this that they vaguely realized that what Lian said was probably true. Gu Chun had indeed lost his innate spiritual root. How's this possible? I've never heard of anyone being able to save someone's life after destroying their innate spiritual root. However, since Elder Lian brought up Lord Sanctum leader, there's no doubt this matter is true. What's going on? Don't tell me Duan Tian really destroyed Gu Chun's innate spiritual root? The group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves as they looked at Duan Tian in unison. A hint of fear and dread could be seen in their eyes. As the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, Lian was indeed quite capable. With just a few words, he managed to turn everyone's attention to Duan Tian. Even if Duan Tian was unwilling to admit it, he had to admit that Lian's methods were brilliant. Elder Lian, since you've brought up Lord Sanctum leader, although I'm still unwilling to believe that Gu Chun has lost his innate spiritual root, I have no choice but to believe it. While everyone was looking at Duan Tian looked at Lian and said solemnly, I believe Elder Lian won't joke about Lord Sanctum leader. Lord Sanctum leader is the Sanctum leader of our Black Turtle Sanctum. Naturally, I won't joke about him. Lian smirked. If it was not for the fact that he had to kill Duan Tian, he would not waste his breath on Duan Tian at all. Even if that's the case, how can Elder Lian say that I, Duan Tian, was the one who destroyed Gu Chun's innate spiritual root? Chapter 1921. With my current cultivation base, I can't sense the existence of an innate spiritual root with my divine consciousness. Even if I can sense the existence of an innate spiritual root, do you think I can destroy Gu Chun's innate spiritual root without killing him, Elder Lien? Based on what I know, even a powerhouse at the 9th form of the Saint Celestial stage wouldn't dare to say he can destroy someone's innate spiritual root without harming that person's soul. Duan Lingtian's words were reasonable. Duan Lingtian did not wait for Lian's reply before he continued to say angrily, Elder Lian, I know you're dissatisfied with me for killing the son of your best friend, Yang Chong, the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect. That's why you're looking for me to seek revenge. If you want to seek revenge, you can just kill me. Why do you have to think of ways to slander me and take revenge on me in a roundabout way? Swoosh. Lian's expression changed drastically. He did not expect Duan Lingtian would say such words in front of so many people. He realized he was in a passive position now that Duan Lingtian had turned the tables on him. Lian's expression was dark as he spoke. However, before he could finish speaking, Duan Lingtian interrupted him. Although I don't know if your direct disciple Gu Chun's innate spiritual root is really destroyed or not, even if his innate spiritual root is really destroyed, you should still kill him and slander me. That way perhaps there will be people who will believe you, Elder Lian. Duan Lingtian seemed to be reminding Lian out of goodwill, but in truth he was mocking Lian. Lian's expression changed again. He glared at Duan Lingtian as though his eyes were about to spit fire. If looks could kill, Duan Lingtian would have died many times over. The thousands of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples nodded in agreement when they heard Duan Lingtian's words. That was right. If Lian came looking for Duan Lingtian after killing Gu Chun and slandering Duan Lingtian to take revenge on Duan Lingtian, they might believe Lian even more. Lian slandered Duan Lingtian for destroying Gu Chun's innate spiritual root, but Gu Chun was still alive. This was undoubtedly a bad plan to seek revenge on Duan Lingtian. The best plan was to kill Gu Chun and use his death to slander Duan Lingtian. However, Lian did not use the best plan but the worst plan. Was this not an insult to their intelligence? Although they were only playing the role of bystanders in the whole matter, they were not stupid. They still had the basic ability to distinguish between truth and falsehood. Duan Lingtian, what nonsense are you talking about? Gu Chun's expression changed drastically when he saw Duan Lingtian had shifted the focus of the public's attention to his master, claiming the moral high ground and gaining the upper hand. He shouted in embarrassment and anger, Brother Lingtian. He shouted furiously, You're the one who destroyed my innate spiritual root. If it wasn't for you, why did you use your territory to block other people's view when you knocked me out? If you're not guilty, then what are you doing? As soon as Gu Chun finished speaking, many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene were puzzled. These Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples had witnessed the conflict between Duan Lingtian and Gu Chun. They remembered Duan Lingtian had indeed used his territory to block their view. For that reason they did not see Duan Lingtian and Gu Chun for quite some time. They had no idea what Duan Lingtian was doing in his territory. Don't tell me Gu Chun's innate spiritual root was really destroyed by Duan Lingtian? The few Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were present on the scene that day began to doubt their beliefs. Before Duan Lingtian could reply, Gu Chun continued to say, Apart from that, I dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath about my innate spiritual root being destroyed. As Gu Chun spoke, he pricked his finger and a drop of blood rose into the air. At the same time, he began to recite the oath in front of everyone. If my innate spiritual root is not destroyed, I'm willing to be struck by the 99 heavenly tribulation until I die. Boom, 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 boom. 9 claps of thunder reverberated in the air, and the lightning penalty oath was fulfilled. Since Gu Chun did not attract any lightning punishment, it was clear he was not lying. His innate spiritual root was indeed destroyed. At this moment, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene no longer had any doubts. His innate spiritual root is really destroyed? At this moment, these Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples finally confirmed that Gu Chun's innate spiritual root had indeed been destroyed. He and his master, Lian, were not lying. Now, I've already sworn on the lightning penalty oath that my innate spiritual root is really destroyed. After Gu Chun swore on the lightning penalty oath, he looked at Duan Lingtian fiercely and said coldly, Do you dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath that you didn't destroy my innate spiritual root? Do you dare to swear on it? As soon as Gu Chun finished speaking, he took a step forward and stood side by side with Lian. He stared at Duan Lingtian coldly. At once, everyone shifted their attention to Duan Lingtian again. Does Duan Lingtian dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath? I think so. After all, with his cultivation base, it's impossible for him to destroy Gu Chun's innate spiritual root. What if he doesn't dare to swear on it? Then it means he's guilty. Although the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene did not believe Duanling Tian would be able to destroy Gu Chun's innate spiritual root, they began to doubt Gu Chun's unyielding attitude. If Gu Chun dared to stand next to him in front of so many people, Lian would definitely be furious and would reprimand Gu Chun for being so disrespectful. However, at this moment, not only was Lian not angry, but he was also secretly impressed by the quick-wittedness of this direct disciple whom he did not like. Based on the current situation, everything that this direct disciple of his had done had already reversed the situation where they had lost the upper hand. It had allowed them to once again take the initiative from being passive to being proactive. This made him feel extremely comfortable. He felt as though the haze in his heart had disappeared. At this moment, Lian found this direct disciple much more pleasing to the eye. Swear on the lightning penalty oath that I didn't destroy your innate spiritual root? Under the watchful eyes of the others, Duanling Tian smiled and said, Gu Chun, don't you think it's unnecessary for me to swear on the lightning penalty oath? What? You don't dare to swear on it? Gu Chun sneered when he heard Duanling Tian's words. If you don't dare to swear on it, it means you have a guilty conscience. It's equivalent to admitting that you destroyed my innate spiritual root. Destroying my innate spiritual root is equivalent to severing my cultivation path. It's no different from crippling me. Duanling Tian, according to the rules of Zoroastrianism, I'm sure you know the punishment for destroying a fellow disciple. As soon as Gu Chun finished speaking, a terrifying aura rose from Lian's body. As the aura rose, it silently locked onto Duanling Tian. I think you're the one who doesn't dare to swear on it. However, Duanling Tian's next words caused the terrifying aura that rose from Lian's body to dissipate completely. Lian stared at Duanling Tian. He did not know why Duanling Tian would suddenly say such words to Gu Chun. I don't dare to swear on it? Why wouldn't I dare to swear on it? Duanling Tian, there are so many people watching. Don't even think about changing the topic. Gu Chun sneered. I've already said it's unnecessary for you to ask me to swear on the lightning penalty oath. Since you keep saying I'm the one who destroyed your innate spiritual root, you can swear on a lightning penalty oath to confirm that I'm the one who destroyed your innate spiritual root. As long as you're not killed by the lightning penalty, it'll prove that I'm the one who destroyed your innate spiritual root. If you're killed by the lightning penalty, it'll prove that you're lying. Duanling Tian said firmly as he looked at Gu Chun. His expression remained unchanged as thousands of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples looked at him skeptically. His words were flawless. Since Gu Chun had asked him to swear on the lightning penalty oath, he had also suggested Gu Chun to swear on the lightning penalty oath. These two lightning penalty oaths seemed to have the same meaning. It would prove that Gu Chun's innate spiritual root was not destroyed by Duanling Tian. It was just that the person swearing on the lightning penalty oath had changed. Whoosh! Horror dawned on Gu Chun's face. He did not expect Duanling Tian to turn the tables on him in such a manner. Duanling Tian actually asked him to swear on the lightning penalty oath. Although the lightning penalty oath seemed to have the same meaning, he did not dare to swear on it himself. This was because up until now, he had only guessed that Duanling Tian was the one who destroyed his innate spiritual root. Even if he felt there was a 99% chance that Duanling Tian was the one who did it, there was still a 1% chance of uncertainty. This concerned his life. Even if there was only a 1% chance of uncertainty, he did not dare to take the risk. For this reason, he really did not dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath that Duanling Tian suggested. Duanling Tian, I've already sworn on the lightning penalty oath. This time, it's your turn to swear on the lightning penalty oath. At this moment, Gu Chun could only resort to sophistry. Sophistry? As soon as Gu Chun finished speaking, Duanling Tian smirked. Gu Chun, you're the one who suggested swearing on the lightning penalty oath. Now that we're faced with a problem that can be solved by either of us swearing on the lightning penalty oath, you should be the one to swear on the lightning penalty oath since you're the one who suggested swearing on the lightning penalty oath. No matter what, it's not my turn to do it. Unless you know I'm not the one who destroyed your innate spiritual root, that's why you don't dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath. When Duanling Tian reached the end of his sentence, the smile on his face grew wider. From the moment Duanling Tian asked Gu Chun to swear on the lightning penalty oath, he had already made a huge gamble. The stake of this gamble was his own life and fortune. If he lost the bet, he would die. If he won the bet, he would live. He was betting that Gu Chun would not dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath. Naturally, Duan Lingtian dared to make this bet because he was 100% certain that Duan Lingtian did not possess the innate spiritual root. Not only did Gu Chun not know that he had devoured Gu Chun's innate spiritual root, but he also didn't dare to confirm it. From the beginning until the end, it was only a guess without any evidence. Chapter 1922. Duan Lingtian is right. That's right. Whether it's Duan Lingtian or Gu Chun who swears on the lightning penalty oath according to Gu Chun's request, the outcome is enough to prove whether Gu Chun has crippled his innate spiritual root or not. However, based on the current situation, it seems like Gu Chun doesn't dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath according to Duan Lingtian's request. That's right. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, many people began to question Gu Chun. They could see it. When Duan Lingtian asked Gu Chun to swear on the lightning penalty oath according to his request, not only did Gu Chun hesitate, but he even accused Duan Lingtian and asked Duan Lingtian to swear on the lightning penalty oath. From the beginning until the end, it seemed like he was the one who took the initiative to swear on the lightning penalty oath. However, he was the one who backed out at the most crucial moment. What else could it be other than having a guilty conscience? For the thousands of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene, whether it was Duan Lingtian who swore on the lightning penalty oath according to Gu Chun's request or Gu Chun who swore on the lightning penalty oath according to Duan Lingtian's request, the outcome would be the same. However, since Gu Chun was the one who suggested swearing on the lightning penalty oath, they subconsciously felt it was most appropriate for Gu Chun to swear on the lightning penalty oath according to Duan Lingtian's request. As soon as the voices that questioned Gu Chun appeared, it was like a river that could not be stopped. Gu Chun did not expect this at all. At this moment he felt as though he had shot himself in the foot. Gu Chun, did you hear that? All our senior brothers and junior sisters think it's most appropriate for you to swear on the lightning penalty oath. As long as you swear on the lightning penalty oath, everyone will know the truth. At that time, if you're not killed by the lightning penalty, we'll know that you're not lying and that I'm the one who crippled your innate spiritual root. At the same time, Duan Lingtian looked at Gu Chun mockingly. The feeling of being able to turn the tables on Gu Chun was something he had never felt before. Gu Chun, don't you want to swear on the lightning penalty oath? Stand. Why don't you do it? When Gu Chun heard the words of the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples and how Duan Lingtian had turned the tables on him, his face turned pale. His heart was in a mess. Although he really wanted Duan Lingtian to die at the hands of his master, Lian, he had no choice but to kill Duan Lingtian. However, he did not know if Duan Lingtian had destroyed his innate spiritual root. After all, he was not 100% sure that it was not Duan Lingtian who had destroyed his innate spiritual root. In this bizarre world, things were happening at every moment, and there was no lack of unexplainable things. Perhaps, the disappearance of his innate spiritual root was just a coincidence and had nothing to do with Duan Lingtian. If that was the case and he swore on the lightning penalty oath, he would definitely die. Although he no longer had his innate spiritual root and would most likely be stuck in the same spot in the future, it did not mean that he no longer cherished his life. So much so that he cherished his life more than ever. This was because he could no longer raise his cultivation base, and his lifespan had been fixed. He could no longer prolong his life by raising his cultivation base. In other words, every day he lived was equivalent to having one less day. For this reason, he did not dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath as Duan Lingtian had requested. He was afraid of dying. What if the disappearance of his innate spiritual root had nothing to do with Duan Lingtian? If that was the case, would he not die in vain? Gu Chun is really feeling guilty. It seems like he's the one who's slandering Duan Lingtian from the beginning. Duan Lingtian did not destroy his innate spiritual root at all. To think that I almost believed him. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene whispered among themselves again. When Gu Chun heard their words, his expression turned pale. He was rendered speechless. Didn't you say that Duan Lingtian was the one who destroyed your innate spiritual root? Why are you the one who's afraid at such a critical moment? Li An's expression turned grave when he saw Gu Chun had messed up the situation again. He looked at Gu Chun and said through voice transmission, "Don't you think a 90% chance of success is worth a gamble? Perhaps, Duan Lingtian is just putting on an act to scare you so you don't dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath? If you're right, Duan Lingtian will be finished." Li An's words were filled with persuasion and temptation. A 90% chance of success. He would take the gamble. If he won, he would live and Duan Lingtian would die. Gu Chun's eyes lit up when he heard Li An's words. He gritted his teeth and made up his mind. However, when Gu Chun had made up his mind and was about to swear on the lightning penalty oath as he looked at Duan Ling Tian with an indomitable spirit, Duan Ling Tian suddenly spoke. Duan Ling Tian was the first to speak. He said lazily, "How boring. Gu Chun, if you think you're at a disadvantage by swearing on the lightning penalty oath, I'll swear on the lightning penalty oath at the same time as you. What do you think? You should be willing to do that, right?" Boom. Gu Chun, who had made up his mind, felt as though he was struck by lightning when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue. Duan Lingtian's confidence and Duan Lingtian's indifference had completely destroyed the confidence he had built up with great difficulty. In his opinion, if Duan Lingtian destroyed his innate spiritual root, Duan Lingtian would definitely swear on the lightning penalty oath. It was impossible for Duan Lingtian to swear on the lightning penalty oath at the same time as him, let alone take the initiative to do so. However, Duan Lingtian had taken the initiative to do so because he was not afraid of Duan Lingtian. Gu Chun's confidence was instantly shattered. He must have sensed that you're going to burn your boat, so he chose to make the first move to gain the upper hand. Agree to swear on the lightning penalty oath with him. Lian reminded Gu Chun when he saw through the situation. However, the confidence that Gu Chun had painstakingly built up was already shattered. How could he possibly listen to Lian? He felt Lian was using him to make a bet. If he won, Duan Lingtian would die. If he lost, Lian would not lose anything. With this thought in mind, how could he possibly agree to Duan Lingtian's request? Yes. You didn't destroy my innate spiritual root. You didn't destroy it. I was careless when I was cultivating. I don't know how I destroyed it. Gu Chun's heart trembled when he looked at Duan Lingtian again, and he hastily said, "Whoosh." Gu Chun's words caused an uproar among the crowd. They did not expect the truth would be revealed. As expected, Gu Chun is slandering Duan Lingtian. Humph. I've long seen that Gu Chun isn't a good person. He's really tricked Elder Lian this time. Several thousands of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves. The crowd was in an uproar. Some people felt Gu Chun had slandered Duan Lingtian under Lian's instructions. However, they only dared to think about it in their hearts. Duan Lingtian smiled. He knew his plan of retreating by advancing had worked. Earlier, he had wanted to swear on the lightning penalty oath with Gu Chun because he had been paying attention to Gu Chun's expression from the beginning until the end. When he saw the determination on Gu Chun's face as though he had made a decision, he knew Gu Chun was going to burn his boats. He really did not dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath with Gu Chun. This was because he was the one who destroyed Gu Chun's innate spiritual root. To be more precise, he was the one who swallowed it. When Duan Lingtian heard Gu Chun's words, he sighed in relief. At the same time, he realized he had made the right bet. He had become the final winner. Lian's expression turned grave when he heard Gu Chun's words. When he heard Gu Chun's words, he knew there was no way he would be able to win. His plan of using this opportunity to get rid of Duan Lingtian had gone down the drain due to the presence of Gu Chun, this pig of a teammate. Lian glanced at Gu Chun coldly and snorted before he turned around and left. From the beginning until the end, he did not speak to Gu Chun at all. It was obvious he was furious. Gu Chun, next time if you want to slander me with your master, you better come up with a good excuse. Your excuse this time is too lousy. It's full of flaws. Duan Lingtian, who was the final winner, was in high spirits. After he finished speaking to Gu Chun, he turned around and descended from the sky to return to his tertius house. Gu Chun was so angry that his body trembled when he saw Duan Lingtian's silhouette disappearing before his eyes. His eyes were wide open as he gritted his teeth. He clenched his fists so tightly that his fingertips dug deep into his palms. Although he was bleeding profusely, he did not seem to feel anything. The thousands of mocking gazes that were trained on him almost drove him mad. Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian. As long as my cousin comes, you'll definitely die. You'll definitely die. Gu Chun knew he was no match for Duan Lingtian now that his innate spiritual root had been destroyed. Since he could not seek revenge himself, he placed all his hopes on his cousin who was about to arrive. Right now, he saw his cousin as his last hope. Subsequently, it was peaceful for a month. After a month, an uninvited guest appeared outside the Black Turtle Sanctum of Zoroastrianism. It was a travel-worn middle-aged man. As soon as he appeared, he was immediately stopped by a patrol team led by a bronze flame elder from the Black Turtle Sanctum. Who are you? How dare you trespass into the Black Turtle Sanctum of Zoroastrianism? The bronze flame elder shouted in a deep voice. The middle-aged man was tall and had an ordinary appearance. He carried a long saber on his back. As he stood there, he looked like a towering iron tower. "My name is Gulong. I'm here to join the Zoroastrianism." The middle-aged man's expression did not change even when he was faced with the Bronze Flame Elder. Then, the Bronze Flame Elder took out a spiritual pearl that could be used to test one's innate spiritual root. After the test, it was determined the middle-aged man possessed a blue innate spiritual root. Chapter 1923. There was an ironclad rule in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Anyone with a blue innate spiritual root or above would definitely be able to enter the Saint Celestial stage as long as they cultivated diligently. The Saint Celestial stage was the last stage in the Dao Martial Saint Land. Powerhouses who had entered the Saint Celestial stage were those who stood at the peak of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Brother Gulong, according to the rules of Zoroastrianism, those who possess a blue innate spiritual root or above can join the Zoroastrianism without taking the test. Those who have just joined the Zoroastrianism will usually stay in the four symbols sanctums first. The Bronze Flame Elder's attitude became even more enthusiastic when he discovered Gulong possessed a blue innate spiritual root. When the Bronze Flame Elder reached the end of his sentence, he even took the initiative to recommend, "Our Black Turtle Sanctum is one of the four symbols sanctums. The number one defensive martial tactic, the Black Turtle's Barrier, is in our Black Turtle Sanctum. Why don't you stay in the Black Turtle Sanctum first, Brother Gulong?" The moment he finished speaking, he looked at Gulong expectantly, hoping Gulong would stay in the Black Turtle Sanctum. If Gulong stayed in the Black Turtle Sanctum, he would be able to recommend this martial genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root to the sanctum leader of the Black Turtle Sanctum. He believed the sanctum leader of the Black Turtle Sanctum would be interested in Gulong and might even take him in as his direct disciple. At that time, as long as the sanctum leader was happy, he would definitely benefit greatly. "I'll go to whichever sanctum my cousin is in," Gulong said indifferently, ignoring the Bronze Flame Elder's enthusiasm. He was a genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root. He had great potential. His future achievements would not be something this Bronze Flame Elder could compare to. Due to this reason, Gulong was very casual when he spoke to this Bronze Flame Elder. The Bronze Flame Elder who thought Gulong would agree to his request was stunned when he heard Gulong's words. He asked, "May I know who your cousin is, Brother Gulong?" "His name is Gu Chun, and he possesses a green innate spiritual root. 2 months ago, he came to participate in the assessment of the four symbols sanctums of Zoroastrianism. If I'm not mistaken, he should have become the disciple of one of the four symbols sanctums Silver Flame Elders. I came to the Zoroastrianism with the intention of becoming the disciple of one of the Silver Flame Elders." When Gu Chun was mentioned, a rare wisp of doting appeared in the depths of Gulong's unruly and fearless eyes. A few months ago, before Gulong and Gu Chun decided to come to Zoroastrianism, they had agreed that they would take the same person as their teacher when they came to Zoroastrianism. In order to take care of his cousin Gu Chun, Gulong did not hesitate to give up the opportunity to become the disciple of a Golden Flame Elder. He told Gu Chun to find a Silver Flame Elder and become his disciple after he entered the four symbols sanctums of Zoroastrianism. If that Silver Flame Elder did not like Gu Chun could use him. He believed that as long as he was willing to become the disciple of a Silver Flame Elder in the Zoroastrianism, that Silver Flame Elder would definitely give him face and accept Gu Chun as his disciple. His confidence came from his innate spiritual root, the blue innate spiritual root. The blue innate spiritual root was the biggest bargaining chip in his hand. It was a bargaining chip that no Silver Flame Elder in the Zoroastrianism could refuse. "Why, you're Gu Chun's cousin?" The Bronze Flame Elder could not help but widen his eyes when he heard Gulong's words. At the same time, a shocked expression appeared on his face as though he had just learned something shocking. Naturally, he had heard of Gu Chun before. The four symbols sanctums of Zoroastrianism would recruit disciples once every 3 years. The most recent recruitment was less than 2 months ago. This time, among the few Silver Flame Elders in the Black Turtle Sanctum, only Lian had accepted a direct disciple. Due to this reason, the group of Bronze Flame Elders, including him, found it strange. Elder Lian was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder. He had always had high standards. Although he had accepted 3 direct disciples in the past, all 3 of them were martial geniuses who possessed blue innate spiritual roots. When they learned that Lian had accepted Gu Chun, a person who possessed a green innate spiritual root, as his direct disciple, they were puzzled. They could not figure out why Lian's standards had changed so much. However, when he saw Gulong and heard his words, he immediately had an answer in his heart. No wonder Elder Lian accepted Gu Chun as his direct disciple. As it turns out, he accepted Gu Chun because of Gu Long. This was the answer in the Bronze Flame Elder's heart. Gu Long was a martial genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root. If he was willing to accept Lian as his master, Lian would, naturally, not mind accepting Gu Chun as his disciple for Gu Long's sake. At the same time, the Bronze Flame Elder sighed in disappointment. However, it seemed like it was impossible for him to recommend this person to the Sanctum leader of the Black Turtle Sanctum. Perhaps, the Sanctum leader might be interested in a martial genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root, but it was not to the point where he would lower himself to compete with a Silver Flame Elder under his command. Unless the person was a monstrous genius who possessed an indigo innate spiritual root. However, a monstrous genius with an indigo innate spiritual root who could even tempt the sect leader of the Zoroastrianism, the Silver Flame Elder would not be so presumptuous as to accept such a person as his disciple. What? Elder, you know my cousin? Gu Long asked with a glint in his eyes when he heard the Bronze Flame Elder's words and saw the surprised expression on his face. Yes. The Bronze Flame Elder nodded. Your cousin is currently a disciple of our Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, Elder Lian. Elder Lian? The Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder? Gu Long nodded inwardly when he heard this. It seemed like his cousin had good taste. He actually managed to become a disciple of the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder. However, your cousin is currently in a bad condition. The Bronze Flame Elder continued to say. The Bronze Flame Elder said as he carefully glanced at Gu Long. A month ago, news of what happened in the residence of a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple had spread throughout the Black Turtle Sanctum, the Four Symbols Sanctums, and even the Saint Land. It was none other than Gu Long. For some reason, Gu Chun, the new direct disciple of the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, Lian, had lost his innate spiritual root. It had disappeared without a trace. Gu Chun's soul was fine even though his innate spiritual root was gone. Even a powerhouse at the 9th form of the Saint Celestial stage would not be able to do that. For this reason, this matter had become an unsolved case in the Four Symbols Sanctum since a month ago. Gu Chun's name had spread throughout the Zoroastrianism because of this. Naturally, if Gu Chun had a choice, he would rather not have such a reputation. This was because the price of such a reputation was too high. Without an innate spiritual root, it would be difficult for one's cultivation base to improve for the rest of one's life. It was equivalent to ruining one's life. What happened to my cousin? Upon hearing the Bronze Flame Elder's words, Gu Long realized something had happened to his cousin. Horror dawned on his face immediately. Although Gu Chun was only his cousin, in his heart, Gu Chun was more important than his own younger brother. He had lost his parents when he was young. It was Gu Chun's father who raised him. Later on, Gu Chun's father had died in an accident to save him. From then on, he had played the role of a father and brother to Gu Chun. Naturally, he panicked when he learned something had happened to Gu Chun. I'll send you to the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Let's talk about Gu Chun as we walk. After the Bronze Flame Elder asked the patrolling disciples behind him to leave, he brought Gu Long to the west of the Black Turtle Sanctum. That was where the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples lived. This is the uniform of a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple. Along the way, the Bronze Flame Elder gave Gu Long the uniform of a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple. Elder, what happened to my cousin? Even when Gu Long reached out to take the uniform of a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, he did not look away from the Bronze Flame Elder. A hint of worry could be seen in the depth of his eyes. His innate spiritual root is gone. The Bronze Flame Elder said with a sigh. His innate spiritual root was gone. When Gu Long heard the Bronze Flame Elder's words, it was as though he had been struck by lightning. Horror dawned on him as his eyes turned red. A ruthless aura began to emanate from his body. His innate spiritual root is gone? Gu Long asked in a hoarse voice after a long while. His voice was cold as though it came from an ice cave. What happened? How did his innate spiritual root disappear just like that? Who did it? Naturally, Gu Long knew what it meant to have his innate spiritual root disappear. For this reason, he could imagine how desperate his cousin must be right now. I don't know exactly how it disappeared. I'm not the only one who doesn't know. Even Gu Chun doesn't know about it. Upon hearing Gu Long's words, the Bronze Flame Elder was stunned for a moment before he smiled wryly. He doesn't know about it either? Gu Long was dumbfounded. The ruthless aura on his body disappeared immediately. Initially, he thought his cousin's innate spiritual root was stolen by someone, and that was why he was so angry. However, when he heard the Bronze Flame Elder's words, he felt helpless. Under the Bronze Flame Elder's lead, Gulong arrived at the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. After the Bronze Flame Elder learned about Gu Chun's tertius house from a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, he bade farewell to Gulong and left. Gulong, on the other hand, stepped on the air and landed outside the tertius house. Who's he? I don't think he's familiar. The Bronze Flame Elder brought him here. It seems like he's here to look for Gu Chun. Gulong's appearance naturally attracted the attention of many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Gulong knocked on the door and it was quickly opened. Brother? When Gu Chun opened the door and saw Gulong, his originally pale face lit up immediately. It was as though he had seen his last hope. He pounced on Gulong excitedly and hugged him tightly. Brother, you must avenge me. You must avenge me. Before Gulong could say anything, Gu Chun spoke again. His voice was filled with hysteria and madness. Chapter 1924. Revenge. Gulong was stunned when he heard Gu Chun's words. Then he pushed Gu Chun away and asked with a grave expression, "Little Chun, what happened? Is your innate spiritual root really gone?" "Brother, it's true. My innate spiritual root is really gone," Gu Chun said with a sorrowful expression on his face. It was as though his words had hit a sore spot. "That's an innate spiritual root. How could it be gone just like that? Moreover, you asked me to avenge you earlier? Avenge what?" Gulong furrowed his brows in confusion. According to the Bronze Flame Elder, even his cousin did not know how he lost his innate spiritual root. If that was the case, how could he seek revenge? Who would he seek revenge from? "Brother, I suspect that Duan Lingtian is the one who destroyed my innate spiritual root. However, I don't have any evidence, so I'm not 100% certain he's the one who did it. However, if he didn't do it, I really can't think of a reason why my innate spiritual root would disappear just like that." Gu Chun told Gulong about the conflict between him and Duan Lingtian. He also told Gulong everything that had happened between him and Duan Lingtian. "I still think he's the most suspicious. I have a strong feeling that he has something to do with the disappearance of my innate spiritual root." After saying those words, Gu Chun clenched his fists tightly. His expression was ferocious as he spoke through gritted teeth, casting his territory to block others' sight. "Based on what you said, I'm 90% sure he's the one who destroyed your innate spiritual root." Gulong's eyes flashed coldly. After a moment of silence, he continued to speculate. He must have mastered some unimaginable technique that can destroy a person's innate spiritual root without harming the person's soul. However, to ordinary people, even a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse wouldn't be able to destroy a person's innate spiritual root without harming the person's soul at the same time. For this reason, nobody suspected him at all. When Gulong reached the end of his sentence, a cold killing intent surged out of his body, causing the air in the surroundings to turn colder. If Duan Lingtian was here and heard Gulong's words, he would definitely turn pale with fright. Although Gulong did not guess completely correctly, he was close to the truth. That's very likely the case. However, a month ago, I didn't dare to gamble on the lightning penalty oath. I was worried that if it wasn't him, I would be killed by the lightning penalty. Brother, am I a coward? Are you disappointed? In front of Gulong, Gu Chun was like a child. No, Xiao Chun was not a coward. Xiao Chun did that just in case. Xiao Chun did the right thing. Hearing Gu Chun's words, Gulong immediately shook his head. Between the flashes of lightning, a strand of frightening cold light flashed in the depths of his eyes, and it seemed to be choosing to devour people. Of course, such a frightening cold light was not directed at Gu Chun. His target was the Duan Lingtian whom he had yet to meet. Brother, I want that Duan Lingtian to die. Gulong's arrival swept away Gu Chun's dispirited look. His eyes shone coldly as killing intent surged out of them. His face was distorted as though he hated Duan Lingtian for killing his father or snatching his wife. Don't worry, he won't live. As Gulong spoke coldly, he casually changed into the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple's uniform that the Bronze Flame Elder had given him earlier. Wearing the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple's uniform meant he had officially become a disciple of Zoroastrianism. To be more precise, he was a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple in Zoroastrianism. Brother, Zoroastrianism has strict rules. We have to think of a way to get rid of that Duan Lingtian once and for all without violating the Zoroastrianism's rules. It's not worth it to sacrifice ourselves for him. After taking a deep breath, Gu Chun said with a cold expression on his face. There's no need for that. However, when Gulong heard Gu Chun's words, he immediately rejected it in a domineering manner. When Gulong saw Gu Chun looking at him with a confused expression, he calmly said, Little Chun, Don't forget that I possess a blue innate spiritual root. Even if I violate the Zoroastrianism's rules and kill that Duanling Tian, I won't be able to get rid of him. Do you think the fire worship sect would let your brother pay with his life for an ordinary disciple with a yellow innate spiritual root? Of course not. Gu Chun shook his head without any hesitation. What a joke. A genius with a blue innate spiritual root was not someone a mediocre person with a yellow innate spiritual root could compare to at all. Even if the former killed the latter, the Zoroastrianism would not destroy the former for the sake of the latter. At most, they would punish the former symbolically. A genius with a blue innate spiritual root would definitely become a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse in the future. It would not be difficult for him to become a Silver Flame Elder or even a Golden Flame Elder in Zoroastrianism. Among the Golden Flame Elders in Zoroastrianism, there were 3 Golden Flame Elders who only possessed blue innate spiritual roots. Why would they destroy a future Silver Flame Elder or even a Golden Flame Elder for a mediocre person with a yellow innate spiritual root? It was impossible for Zoroastrianism to do such a thing. If I don't wear the uniform of a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple and kill that Duanling Tian, it'll be different. It'll be equivalent to an outsider challenging the entire Zoroastrianism. I'll definitely die. Now that I've changed into the uniform of a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, even if I kill that Duanling Tian, it'll just be killing a fellow disciple. It'll just be a violation of the Zoroastrianism's rule. Gu Long continued to say, as long as I show my worth, the Zoroastrianism won't make me pay with my life for Duanling Tian. At most, they'll punish me symbolically. Gu Long's words were filled with confidence. Little Chun, which Tertius house is that Duanling Tian staying in? When Gu Long spoke again, he turned around and soared into the air. His eyes were cold as he looked at the thousands of Tertius houses in the surroundings. This person is also a disciple of our Black Turtle Sanctum? Although the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples in the distance did not hear the conversation between Gu Long and Gu Chun, they could tell the relationship between the two of them was not simple. Not only that, but Gu Long had also changed into the uniform of a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple in front of them. I've never seen him before. Don't tell me he's a newcomer to our Zoroastrianism? A newcomer to our Zoroastrianism? Doesn't that mean he's a newcomer to our Zoroastrianism? It said that only martial geniuses with blue innate spiritual roots and above have this privilege. Don't tell me he's a martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root. As the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves, their gazes turned extremely heated as they looked at Gu Long, who was soaring into the air. At the same time, they could clearly feel the killing intent emitting from Gu Long's body. What's he trying to do? Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples felt chills running down their spines. They were frightened by the killing intent on Gu Long's body. Brother, that house. Then the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene heard Gu Chun's voice. At the same time, they saw Gu Chun soaring into the air with Gu Long and pointing at a Tertius house in the distance. That Tertius house. Isn't that the Tertius house that Duanling Tian stays in? Many people recognized the Tertius house that Gu Chun was pointing at was Duanling Tian's house. At the same time, they realized the killing intent Gu Long was emitting was directed at Duanling Tian. Gu Chun addressed him as brother? He's Gu Chun's brother? Soon after, some people's attention shifted to the way Gu Chun addressed Gu Long. It caused an uproar again. No matter how they thought about it, they did not expect this person to be Gu Chun's brother. At the same time, a figure appeared out of thin air in the Tertius house that Gu Chun was pointing at. It was none other than Duanling Tian, who had just left the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. Hua Lao said that there's someone outside who wants to harm me? Duanling Tian had heard Hua Lao's warning, so he had stopped cultivating and left the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. After putting the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda away, Duanling Tian pushed the door open and left. As soon as he stepped out of the door, he clearly sensed 2 cold gazes piercing through the sky and landing on his body. The gazes were filled with extreme killing intent. It's Gu Chun and Lian again? This was Duanling Tian's guess before he raised his head. When he raised his head and looked at the owners of the 2 pairs of eyes, he discovered one of them was actually Gu Chun. One of them was indeed Gu Chun. However, the other person was not Lian. It was a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who carried a long saber on his back. At this moment, the killing intent that surged out of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple's body had shifted from the Tertius house behind him to him. It was obvious the other party's target was him. Who's he? When Ling Tian saw the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple standing next to Gu Chun, he could not help but feel puzzled. Brother, it's him. At the same time, Duan Lingtian heard Gu Chun's angry voice. Gu Chun was talking to the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who carried a long saber on his back. Gu Chun's brother? Duan Lingtian came to a sudden realization. As it turned out, this Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple was Gu Chun's brother. It was no wonder he would target him. However, Gu Chun actually has a brother in the Black Turtle Sanctum? Duan Lingtian thought Gu Chun's brother had long been a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple. It did not cross his mind that Gu Chun's brother had just joined the Zoroastrianism sect today. It did not cross his mind that Gu Chun's brother was a martial genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root. You're Duan Lingtian? As soon as Gu Chun finished speaking, Gu Long's eyes were fixed on Duan Lingtian as he asked in a cold and deep voice. So what if I am? Duan Lingtian said nonchalantly when he sensed Gu Long's killing intent. Naturally, he did not hold back. You're really arrogant. Gu Long's expression turned grave. As he sneered, he raised his hand at lightning speed and unsheathed the long saber on his back. I'd like to see if you're qualified to be arrogant. Chapter 1925. Buzz. The sound of a saber chiming resonated in the air. After Gu Long drew the long saber from his back, he slashed it at Duan Lingtian's head. The saber ray shone brightly like a bright moon in the sky. Everyone, please search for the complete picture. Swish. In the next instant, a saber ray that was hundreds of meters long directly locked onto Duan Lingtian. Not only that, but it also swept toward Duan Lingtian in an unparalleled manner. Wherever it passed, the air seemed to have been sucked away. Only the sound of the saber chiming could be heard. Swish, 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 swish. Horror dawned on the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene. They did not expect Gu Chun's brother to be so bold as to directly attack Duan Lingtian. He had completely disregarded the rules of Zoroastrianism. Was he seeking death? At this moment, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene instinctively had the same thought. It was a felony to kill a fellow disciple in Zoroastrianism. Swish. At this moment, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene were not the only ones who were horrified. Even Duan Lingtian's expression changed drastically. This was because he did not expect Gu Chun's brother would attack him. Moreover, judging from his opponent's stance, it was obvious he wanted to kill him. Golden Crow's wings. In the face of the gigantic saber ray that was falling from the sky and approaching him in just a blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian suddenly shouted in his heart. The Sun Saint energy in the 99 Saint veins in his body began to circulate rapidly. The Sun Saint energy flowed through the 99 Saint veins and covered the surface of Duan Lingtian's body in just a blink of an eye. It consolidated into a pair of gigantic wings that seemed to be made of flames. This was the high-grade movement divine ability that Duan Lingtian had mastered, the Golden Crow's wings. Boom. When the Golden Crow's wings on Duan Lingtian's back suddenly flapped, it instantly caused the air to tremble. A thunderous explosion reverberated in the air, causing the air to almost be sucked out. Swoosh. At the same time, Duan Lingtian's body shot out like a cannonball, almost brushing past the huge blade light descending from the sky. The speed of the blade light and the vast amount of saint power contained within it caused Duan Lingtian to feel a lingering fear. At the same time, he also confirmed one thing. Even if Gu Chun's brother was not at the quintessential saint stage, he was definitely at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Otherwise, a casual swing of the saber would not be so terrifying. Boom. Just as Duan Lingtian was guessing Gu Chun's brother's cultivation base with lingering fear, he heard another loud boom. It sounded like something had collapsed. It was the third grade house that he lived in. It was directly slashed into two halves by the saber and collapsed with a loud bang, causing dust to fill the sky. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. From Gu Long's attack to Duan Lingtian dodging Gu Long's saber to the collapse of the third grade house that Duan Lingtian lived in. The group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples only regained their senses when the third grade house collapsed. What's going on? What's going on? The commotion caused by Gu Long was huge. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples came out of their respective residences in shock. All of them had a confused expression on their faces. However, as soon as they came out, they quickly learned about what had happened from the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were originally present. Gu Chun's brother? He's also a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple? He directly killed Duan Lingtian the moment he saw him? Is he ignoring the Zoroastrianism's rule? Isn't he afraid of death? If he killed Duan Lingtian, he'll definitely die according to the Zoroastrianism's rule. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who had just come out of their respective residences were shocked. When they discussed among themselves, they kept mentioning the Zoroastrianism's rule. They were shocked that Gu Chun's brother had ignored the Zoroastrianism's rule. Is Gu Chun's brother not afraid of death? Even the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were originally present regained their senses at this moment. When they looked at Gu Long, who was next to Gu Chun again, their eyes were filled with confusion. No matter how they looked at it, they could not tell Gu Long was someone who was not afraid of death. What gave him the courage to ignore the Zoroastrianism's rule? No wonder my cousin can't do anything to you. You're quite strong. Unfortunately, this little bit of strength is nothing in front of me, Gu Long. That slash just now was just a casual slash of mine. Under the watchful eyes of the others, Gu Long continued to look at Duan Lingtian coldly as he said, "You won't be so lucky next time." Gu Long? His name is Gu Long? I've never heard of him before. Since when did our Black Turtle Sanctum have such a person? Earlier, I think he was personally sent here by a Bronze Flame Elder. That Bronze Flame Elder seems to be very polite to him. Don't tell me he's a new disciple who just arrived today? The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves as they looked at Gu Long again. Some of them speculated solemnly, if this Gu Long really just arrived at our Zoroastrianism today, doesn't that mean he's a martial genius with an innate spiritual root who possesses a blue innate spiritual root or above? That's possible. In our Zoroastrianism, only martial geniuses with blue innate spiritual roots or above can come here whenever they want. This Gu Long is most likely a martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root. A blue innate spiritual root. That's a pass to enter the Saint Celestial stage. If this Gu Long really possesses a blue innate spiritual root, he'll be able to become a Silver Flame Elder in our Zoroastrianism at the very least. That's right. If he really possesses a blue innate spiritual root, he might even be able to become a Golden Flame Elder if he works hard in the future. Another round of whispers broke out again. In the end, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene confirmed one thing. Gu Long was a martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root. If he really possesses a blue innate spiritual root, then everything makes sense. He dares to disregard the rules of our Zoroastrianism because of his innate talent. With his innate talent, even if he kills the Duan Lingtian, it's impossible for Zoroastrianism to kill him to avenge the Duan Lingtian. A Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple suddenly chimed in. The moment his words left his mouth, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples in the surroundings were enlightened. That's right. A martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root is the target of our Zoroastrianism. Duan Lingtian only possesses a yellow innate spiritual root. Even if he's killed by someone with a blue innate spiritual root, it's impossible for Zoroastrianism to kill him. At most, we'll just punish him symbolically. It's not a big deal at all. In this case, even if Gu Long kills the Duan Lingtian, nothing will happen to him. Theoretically, yes. It seems like Duan Lingtian is going to be in trouble. The whispers of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples naturally entered Duan Lingtian's ears, causing his expression to turn grave. To be more precise, it caused Duan Lingtian's expression to freeze. You possess a blue innate spiritual root? At the same time, Duan Lingtian shifted his gaze to Gu Long and stared at him intently. If someone were to look closely at Duan Lingtian's eyes, they would be able to see that there was a burning desire in Duan Lingtian's eyes. In the depth of Duan Lingtian's eyes, there was a gleam of burning brilliance. It was as though he had seen some sort of treasure. Duan Lingtian, are you afraid now that you know my cousin possesses a blue innate spiritual root? Before Gu Long could speak, Gu Chun had already laughed out loud. His face was filled with joy as though he was elated. At the same time, he sent a voice transmission to Duan Lingtian and said something that was inconvenient for him to say. Duan Lingtian, my brother possesses a blue innate spiritual root. Even if he violates the sect's rules and kills you, the sect will only punish him symbolically at most. It's not a big deal at all. Do you regret offending me, Gu Chun? Unfortunately, there's no medicine for regret in this world. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourself for offending me, Duan Lingtian. Gu Chun's tone was filled with pride when he reached the end of his voice transmission. However, the smile on his face soon froze when he realized Duan Lingtian did not pay any attention to him at all. He did not even look at him. Duan Lingtian's eyes were trained on his cousin, Gu Long, from the beginning until the end. Blue innate spiritual root? Good. Very good. Very good. Nobody knew how Duan Lingtian felt at this moment. He was extremely excited because Gu Long possessed the intermediate and high-grade innate spiritual root that he had always dreamed of. Blue innate spiritual root. If I can devour his blue innate spiritual root, Even if I lose some of it, my innate spiritual root will definitely transform into a green innate spiritual root. It was no wonder Duan Tian looked at Gulong as though he was looking at a treasure. As it turned out, he was eyeing Gulong's innate spiritual root. From the moment Gulong made a move to kill him, he would not rest until one of them was dead. He did not feel guilty about devouring Gulong's innate spiritual root. Instead, he felt excited. Based on the current situation, Gulong should be a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Duan Tian heaved a sigh of relief when he thought of this. If Gulong was at the quintessential saint stage or above, it would be fine if he was at the early quintessential saint stage. Now that he had unleashed all his techniques in the Jasper Celestial Sword, he was confident he could kill Gulong. However, if Gulong was at the intermediate quintessential saint stage or above, he would not be able to kill Gulong even if he did not hold back. Little Chun, why are you wasting your breath on him? Gulong smirked. His gaze turned even colder as he looked at Duan Tian. Duan Tian, although I don't know how you destroyed my brother's innate spiritual root, it's no longer important. You'll definitely die today. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure flashed out like a sharp arrow that tore through the sky and shot towards Duan Tian. It was different from when he stood on the spot and attacked earlier. Now, when he attacked with the 100 inscription spirit saber in his hand, the attack power was far from what the previous saber attack could compare to. Duan Tian destroyed Gu Chun's innate spiritual root? Many people were shocked by Gulong's words. As far as they knew, Gu Chun's innate spiritual root was not destroyed by Duan Tian, right? A month ago, Elder Lien and Gu Chun had visited Duan Tian to denounce him. The truth had already been revealed. Chapter 1926. Everyone did not have time to think about it as they shifted their attention to Gulong's figure that shot out at lightning speed. Gulong is a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Soon after, many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples confirmed Gulong's cultivation base. The peak of the exemplary saint stage? Duan Tian seems to be only at the early exemplary saint stage. Although Duan Tian has mastered an extraordinary divine ability with his strength, it seems like it's not enough for him to face a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, right? If the elders don't make it in time, Duan Tian will definitely die. With Gulong's strength, it'll be easy for him to kill Duan Tian. Even if the elders make it in time, I'm afraid they won't be able to arrive before Duan Tian is killed. It seems like Duan Tian is going to die for nothing. Gulong possesses a blue innate spiritual root. Even if he violates the sex rules, he won't be punished. At most, he'll be punished symbolically. That's for sure. There are less than 100 martial geniuses with blue innate spiritual roots in the entire Zoroastrianism. Such a person is the focus of the sect. How can they let him pay with his life for an ordinary disciple who only possesses a yellow innate spiritual root? The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene whispered among themselves as they looked at Duan Tian with pity in their eyes. Whoosh. Perhaps Gulong was worried the Black Turtle Sanctum's elders would make it here. He did not hold back and instantly consolidated his territory. A territory consolidated by Saint energy was, naturally, much more powerful than a territory consolidated by true origin. As soon as Gulong's territory appeared, it set off a fierce aura. Upon closer inspection, one could see Gulong's territory had formed a scene. In the scene, there were various sabers that were either stabbed into the ground or hovering in the air. These sabers were of different lengths and sizes. The scene in the scene resembled a tomb of sabers. This was Gulong's 1,000 sabers territory. This territory is similar to my 10,000 swords territory. However, I'm 100% certain that Gulong is only a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. When Duan Tian saw Gulong charging towards him, the sun saint energy in his body stirred as he began to channel the elementary devouring spell. If he didn't use the elementary devouring technique, he wouldn't be a match for Gulong. After all, his current cultivation base was only at the early divine saint stage. Even if the sun saint energy was special, his strength was only comparable to an ordinary early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. Compared to Gulong, who was at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, he was still lacking. As for the gap between him and Gulong, he could only make up for it with the elementary devouring technique. However, I must end this quickly. If I wait for the elders from the Black Turtle Sanctum to arrive, I'll lose the chance to kill him. We must kill him before those elders arrive. With that thought in mind, Duan Tian circulated the Sun Saint power that he had just gathered and cast the elementary devouring spell. At once, with Duan Lingtian in the center, the air began to vibrate as a faint whirlpool appeared. The whirlpool spun faster and faster before it finally produced a powerful suction force. To be more precise, it was the devouring energy. The moment the devouring energy appeared, the heaven and earth spirit energy in the surroundings surged into Duan Lingtian's body at an exaggerated speed. In the end, it was completely sucked dry. So this is the divine ability that you're using to suppress my brother? I'll let you know that all your struggles are futile in the face of absolute strength. When Duan Lingtian cast the elementary devouring spell, Gulong had also sensed it. However, he merely smiled disdainfully. He was only an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. On the other hand, he was at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Put aside the fact that the divine ability cast by his opponent might not be a high-grade divine ability, even if it was, it would be useless in the face of absolute strength. After all, even if it was a high-grade divine ability, it still depended on the strength of the caster. If the caster's strength was weak, the power of the high-grade divine ability would naturally be weak as well. For this reason, Gulong was not afraid of Duan Lingtian's elementary devouring spell at all. Duan Lingtian, remember this when you're in the underworld? The person who's going to kill you is me, Gulong. Under the watchful eyes of the others, Gulong cried out loudly as the saint energy in his body surged out without any reservation. In just a blink of an eye, his speed increased again. At the same time, the 100 inscription saint saber in his hand had also transformed into a streak of light as it moved around his body in a rhythmic manner. As time passed by, the speed of its movement became faster and faster. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. If one were to sense it carefully, one would be able to see that every time the 100 inscription saint saber moved around Gulong, the energy in the saber would increase. In the end, the 100 inscription saint saber was filled with an explosive energy. This seems to be the divine ability, the ninefold spirit infusion. At the same time, a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple recognized the divine ability that Gulong had cast. Ninefold spiritual infusion? I've heard of it, it's a mid-grade divine ability. However, it's said that this middle-grade divine ability is one of the best among the middle-grade divine abilities. It's infinitely close to a high-grade divine ability. This Gulong has already more or less grasped the ninefold spirit infusion and has already attained the level of 8 stages. High innate talent and strong comprehension ability, this Gulong is indeed a rare martial Dao genius. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples praised. The ninefold spirit infusion was a mid-grade divine ability. It focused on pouring 9 layers of energy into a saint artifact, and it was known as the ninefold force. But now, if one took a closer look, they would be able to see that, on Gulong's 100 inscription Saint Blade, there were 8 layers of power. It was the eightfold force. It was only one step away from the strongest ninefold force. A powerhouse at the peak of the exemplary saint stage cast the divine ability, the ninefold spirit infusion, to deal with an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. It seems like Gulong is worried the elders will come, so he wants to kill Duan Lingtian in the shortest time possible. Although the divine ability that Duan Lingtian cast is extraordinary and I can't see through it, his cultivation base is too weak. Even if he cast a high-grade divine ability, it's impossible for him to be a match for Gulong. That's right. His cultivation base is only at the early exemplary saint stage. Nobody was optimistic about Duan Lingtian's chances. All they felt was that Duan Lingtian would definitely die. However, based on their words, they all agreed that Duan Lingtian was an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. They wondered what kind of expression they would have if they found out that Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was only at the early divine saint stage. They also did not know that the divine ability that Duan Lingtian cast was not only a high-grade divine ability, but it was also a heaven-defying high-grade divine ability. It was the elementary devouring tactic. The elementary devouring tactic focused on devouring all the energy in one's surroundings to boost one's strength in a short period of time. Although the elementary devouring tactic that Duan Lingtian mastered was not as good as the old man he encountered in the divine ability relic that contained the elementary devouring tactic, he was not far away from the old man. Currently, with the Sun Saint energy that was equivalent to the Saint energy at the early exemplary Saint stage, he could boost his strength to the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage Saint energy in a short period of time by devouring the heaven and earth spirit energy in his surroundings. He was only a step away from the Saint energy at the peak of the Exemplary Saint stage in Gulong's body. What a powerful energy! When Gulong was not far away from Duan Lingtian, the elementary devouring tactic that Duan Tian had cast had already devoured all the heaven and earth spirit energy in his surroundings, boosting the Sun Saint energy in his body to the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage. At this moment he felt as though the energy in his body was about to explode. This was his first time experiencing such a powerful energy. When the energy in Duan Lingtian's body changed, it shocked many of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene. This energy is comparable to the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage Saint energy, right? It doesn't seem like the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage Saint energy, but its strength is comparable to the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage Saint energy. Heavens! What kind of divine ability did Duan Lingtian cast? It raised his strength by 2 levels. The divine ability he cast must be an assist-type divine ability. It's similar to the assist-type divine ability in the Azure Dragon Sanctum that originated from the inheritance of the dragons, the true form Berserk transformation. It shouldn't be able to last for long. Moreover, there's a huge aftereffect to it as well. Duan Lingtian's energy can only last for a while. After a while, not only will he revert to his original form, but there'll be aftereffects as well. His strength will weaken further. Soon after, many people could tell Duan Lingtian had cast an assist-type divine ability that could raise one's strength in a short period of time. This assist-type divine ability was similar to the high-grade divine ability in the Azure Dragon Sanctum. Due to the fact that the assist-type divine ability in the Azure Dragon Sanctum had a huge aftereffect, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples thought Duan Lingtian's assist-type divine ability would have an aftereffect as well. Assist-type divine ability? It can raise one's strength to the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage Saint energy in a short period of time? Gu Long had a disdainful expression on his face. So what if Duan Lingtian raised his strength to the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage Saint energy? He was a martial cultivator at the peak of the Exemplary Saint stage who possessed the Saint energy at the peak of the Exemplary Saint stage. Die! Gu Long shouted again. His voice was like a clap of thunder, causing many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who had a weaker cultivation base to feel their eardrums vibrate as though their ears were ringing. At the same time, the thousands of sabers in Gu Long's territory charged toward Duan Lingtian along with the 100 inscription spirit saber that was strengthened by the divine ability, the 9 heaps spirit infusion. It was as though it was raining sabers. Naturally, it was a horizontal saber rain. It was not only Gu Long's 100 inscription spirit saber and the thousands of sabers in his territory that formed the saber rain, but it was also the saber ray that was formed by his 100 inscription spirit saber. Chapter 1927. Die. As Gu Long shouted, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene instinctively held their breaths as they watched the scene in front of them. A young man stood alone in the direction of the saber rain. His figure looked so frail as though he would fall at any time. Golden crow's wings. Duan Lingtian muttered to himself in a low voice as he watched the saber rain that was charging at him at an extremely fast speed. His Sun Saint energy that had been enhanced by the elementary devouring tactic instantly transformed into a pair of gigantic wings. It was even bigger than the wings that appeared before. The flames burning on it were even more exaggerated. The most exaggerated part was yet to come. The pair of gigantic wings that were burning with flames flapped violently to both sides. Suddenly, boom, 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 boom. At this moment, the air in the surroundings was compressed to the extreme. When the air collided with each other, a deafening explosion reverberated in the air. At the same time, under the watchful eyes of the others, Duan Lingtian's body shot out into the distance at a speed that was even faster than the saber rain. He easily dodged Gu Long's all-out attack, causing the saber rain that was transformed from Gu Long's all-out attack to miss. The saber rain missed its target, but its momentum did not decrease as it continued to sweep toward the distance. In that direction, there were hundreds of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples standing there. As soon as these Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples saw Gu Long making his move, horror dawned on them, and they immediately retreated. However, since Duan Lingtian had dodged the saber rain that was unobstructed swept toward them earlier than they expected. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In the wake of the saber rain, more than 10 Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were weaker did not manage to dodge in time and were killed by the saber rain. Blood rained down from the sky. It was a ghastly sight. Gasp, 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 gasp. Upon seeing this, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene could not help but gasp. Many of them felt fortunate that they did not stand there in the beginning. It's a good thing I came here from the other side. Otherwise I would have died. A few of the weaker Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples rejoiced inwardly. Impossible. In the next moment, a cry of disbelief rang out. It was Gulong's voice. At this moment, Gulong looked at Duan Lingtian, who had easily dodged his attack. His eyes fell on the wings on Duan Lingtian's back. His expression was very ugly. Advanced movement god art? At this time, if he still couldn't realize that Duan Lingtian had used an extremely powerful high-level movement divine ability, then he would have lived for so many years in vain. When all the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene shifted their attention to Duan Lingtian, the sound of them gasping could be heard again. Previously, they had gasped because of the dozens of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were killed by Gulong. Now they were shocked by Duan Lingtian's movement divine ability. What a terrifying movement divine ability. With the strength of a mastery exemplary saint stage powerhouse, he easily dodged Gulong's attack by casting a movement divine ability. The movement divine ability Duan Lingtian cast is definitely a high-grade movement divine ability. Moreover, he must have mastered the essence of this high-grade movement divine ability. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to be so fast. I'm afraid this high-grade movement divine ability is not inferior to the divine ability in the Vermilion Bird Sanctum. That pair of flaming wings looks like a real pair of wings. The pair of wings transformed from the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's movement divine ability looks like a pheasant's wings in front of it. That's right. Just by looking at the pair of wings on Duan Lingtian's back, I can tell it's much more powerful than the wings transformed from the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's movement divine ability. This movement divine ability might be even more advanced than the divine ability in the Vermilion Bird Sanctum. One by one, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples regained their senses. All of them were shocked by the high-grade divine ability, the Golden Crow's wings, that Duan Lingtian had cast. This was because the speed of the Golden Crow's wings was just too fast. With this high-grade movement divine ability, Duan Lingtian's speed is already faster than Gulong. He's already invincible in this battle. Invincible? You're thinking too much. Don't forget that the reason Duan Lingtian has the strength of a mastery exemplary saint stage powerhouse is because he has cast an assist-type divine ability similar to the divine ability in the Azure Dragon Sanctum. Such a divine ability won't last for long. The strength in his body will soon return to its original state. If I were him, I'd definitely run away from Gulong with my current speed. Gulong won't be able to catch up to him now. If he wants to live, he has no choice but to do this. Soon after, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene agreed that Duan Lingtian would use his high-grade movement divine ability to run away from Gulong. Gulong's expression changed immediately when he realized this. If that was the case, he might not be able to kill Duan Lingtian today. How could this be? Gu Chun, who was hovering in the air in the distance, had a grave expression on his face. His eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. He actually mastered a high-grade movement divine ability. He's just an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. What's so good about him? Gu Chun roared in his heart. In the end, his face was filled with jealousy. Don't tell me we really can't kill him today? Gu Chun was extremely dissatisfied. Run away. Naturally, Duan Lingtian heard the whispers of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Regarding this, he snorted in contempt. Did Duan Lingtian need to run away? Even if his current strength could not last for long, he was confident he could kill Gulong within a short period of time. The blue innate spiritual root. It's mine. Duan Lingtian looked at Gulong with a hint of greed in his eyes. In his opinion, Gulong's innate spiritual root, the blue innate spiritual root, would bring him a brand new change. Boom, 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 boom. As the sound of air exploding reverberated in the air, not only did Duan Lingtian not run away, but he even charged toward Gulong at an extremely fast speed. He didn't run away? Upon seeing this, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene were stunned. Why didn't he run away when he had such a good opportunity? He's just seeking death. Don't you see he's charging toward Gulong? He didn't run away because he wants to kill Gulong. Kill Gulong? Him alone. Gulong might not be as fast as him, but he's only fast. Unless he has a high-grade offensive divine ability, he might not be able to break through Gulong's defense. If Gulong has mastered a defensive divine ability, even if it's only a medium-grade defensive divine ability, he might not be able to break through Gulong's defense even if he has mastered a high-grade offensive divine ability. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves again. All of them felt Duan Lingtian was seeking death by staying behind. After all, Duan Lingtian's strength would be reduced to its original state after a while. At that time, even if he had a high-grade movement divine ability, he would still be a fish on Gulong's chopping board. He would be at Gulong's mercy. He's not running away? Don't tell me he has mastered a high-grade offensive divine ability? Gulong's expression turned grave when he saw Duan Lingtian charging toward him. He did not master a defensive divine ability. If Duan Lingtian had really mastered a high-grade offensive divine ability, he might really go for wool and come home shorn. He might even be killed by Duan Lingtian. Impossible. With his cultivation base and low innate talent, he's already extremely lucky to be able to successfully comprehend a high-grade movement divine ability. Moreover, the assist-type divine ability he cast earlier might also be a high-grade divine ability. If that's the case, it's impossible for him to comprehend a third high-grade divine ability. Gulong sighed in relief when he thought about this. I'll defend for a while more. As long as the effect of his assist-type divine ability wears off, killing him will be as easy as stepping on an ant. The moment Gulong thought of this, his confidence was boosted. Soon after, Duan Lingtian arrived near Gulong. Gulong did not stay idle. Although he knew his attacks would not be able to touch Duan Lingtian, he still continued to attack. Naturally, Duan Lingtian easily dodged all his attacks. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's strength was comparable to the Mastery Exemplary Saint Stage's Saint Energy. When he cast the divine ability, the Golden Crow's Wings, with such strength, his speed was comparable to an early quintessential Saint Stage powerhouse. With Duan Lingtian's current speed, nobody would have any objections if he was called the fastest speed under the quintessential Saint Stage. This was because he was indeed fast. He could easily crush a powerhouse at the peak of the exemplary Saint Stage. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. As Duan Lingtian dodged Gulong's attacks, he continued to attack. His first attack was a sword technique that contained the profundity of the second stage of the Sovereign Heart Sword. It was comparable to an ordinary heaven-rank primitive Saint-grade martial tactic. However, a sword move of this level was not worth mentioning to Gulong. Gulong's defensive technique was a heaven-rank mediocre Saint-grade martial tactic. Although he had not cultivated it to the highest stage, the impeccable stage, due to the support of his Saint energy at the peak of the exemplary Saint stage, it was not something Duan Lingtian's sword technique could break. Upon seeing this, the fear in Gulong's heart disappeared. It was replaced with excitement. After a while, the effect of Duan Lingtian's assist-type divine ability would wear off. At that time he would be able to kill Duan Lingtian easily. This Duan Lingtian is really digging his own grave. A cruel smile appeared on Gu Chun's face in the distant sky. I don't want to play with you anymore. Just when everyone thought Duan Lingtian would not be able to kill Gulong, Duan Lingtian spoke in a voice that only Gulong could hear. Although he spoke casually, it was like a clap of thunder when it entered Gulong's ears. Horror dawned on Gulong's face immediately. He's still hiding his strength? A thought suddenly appeared in Gulong's mind. In the next instant, he saw the air within a 100-meter radius of Duan Lingtian vibrating as a dazzling golden territory solidified. Apart from blocking everyone's sight, it also shrouded Gulong with this territory. Chapter 1928. When Duan Lingtian's 10,000 swords territory appeared, Gulong discovered that Duan Lingtian's strength was much stronger than his. Although Duan Lingtian's territory was more powerful than his territory, it was only on par with his Thousand Sabers territory since it was only activated by the Saint energy at the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage. Do you think you can break my defense just by consolidating your territory? How naive. Gulong had a disdainful expression on his face when he looked at Duan Lingtian again. Even if Duan Lingtian consolidated his territory, he would not be able to break through his defense. He still had this bit of confidence in himself. I don't plan to use my territory to deal with you. When Duan Lingtian saw the 10,000 swords territory had spread out and blocked the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' view, he felt relieved. He turned around and said to Gulong indifferently, Duan Lingdan, don't worry. When his words entered Gulong's ears, it was like a bolt from the blue. At the same time, Gulong's expression changed greatly. At the same time, fear appeared in his eyes. Stop trying to mystify me. Taking a deep breath, Gulong suppressed the fear that rose in his heart for no reason and roared. Mystify me? Upon hearing Gulong's words, Duan Lingtian merely shook his head and smiled. His nonchalant expression made Gulong even more fearful. In the end, Gulong flew into a rage out of humiliation and attacked Duan Lingtian again. Otherworldly Celestial. As Duan Lingtian chanted inwardly, he shot up into the sky. With the help of the Golden Crow's wings, He disappeared from Gu Long's sight in just a blink of an eye. It was as though he had vanished into thin air. Upon seeing this, Gu Long was stunned. He could not see what Duan Lingtian was doing at all. As Duan Lingtian shot up into the sky, he also brought his 10,000 swords territory with him. When Duan Lingtian disappeared into the sky, the 10,000 swords territory disappeared as well. Gu Long's figure reappeared in front of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples, including Gu Chun. Duan Lingtian seems to have gone up to the sky? Could it be that the support-type divine ability he used is about to disappear? It's possible. After a moment of silence, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples began to whisper among themselves again. The effect of the support divine ability is about to wear off? When Gu Long, who was still in a state of shock, heard the whispers of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples around him, a look of realization appeared on his face. It seems like he was just deliberately mystifying things earlier. Damn it. I was actually scared. When he thought about how he was scared out of his wits just now, Gu Long immediately felt ashamed and resentful. In the next moment he stomped his feet in the air and shot up into the sky like an arrow. Duan Lingtian, you're faster than me now. But once the effects of your support god art wear off, what are you going to use to fight me? You're dead meat. As he soared into the sky, Gu Long's heart was filled with joy. Those who didn't know would have thought that Duan Lingtian had already died in his hands. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. However, almost as soon as Gu Long soared into the sky, 3 short-lived sword cries resonated in the air and reverberated in all directions. When the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples heard the cries, a gigantic golden light shield with a radius of 100 meters had already enveloped Gu Long. Stop. Before the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples could return to their senses, a furious shout resonated in the air from afar. Based on the voice, it seemed like the person was still very far away. A Black Turtle Sanctum's elder? Almost as soon as the shout resonated in the air, Duan Lingtian, who was in the 10,000 sword territory, had a change of expression. He immediately called out to Hualao, "Hualao, help me devour his innate spiritual root." In front of Duan Lingtian, tens of thousands of golden sword rays gathered and formed a sword platform that supported Gu Long's body. To be more precise, it was Gu Long's body. At this moment, Gu Long's eyes were wide open as he lay there with a grievance. There were 3 fatal wounds on his body that were still bleeding. These were the marks left behind by Duan Lingtian when he cast his high-grade offensive divine ability, the Otherworldly Flying Sword, on Gu Long's body. Currently he could only summon 2 clones when he cast the Otherworldly Celestial. Even so, with the Otherworldly Celestial and the profundity of the second stage of the Sovereign Heart Sword, Duan Lingtian easily breached Gu Long's defense and killed him before he could even react. The entire process was as smooth as flowing water. It was extremely natural. However, it was a pity. Due to the 10,000 sword territory, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene did not see the most important scene where Gu Long was killed by Duan Lingtian in just 3 strikes. His innate spiritual root is a blue innate spiritual root. As Duan Lingtian called out to Hualao, Hualao extended his divine consciousness into the depths of Gu Long's soul to investigate and sense Gu Long's innate spiritual root. Hualao rarely paid attention to the situation outside, so he had only just found out Gu Long possessed a blue innate spiritual root. Hualao, guide my divine consciousness to sense his innate spiritual root. I must devour his innate spiritual root before the Black Turtle Sanctum's elder arrives. He's already dead, so his soul will dissipate soon. At that time, the blue innate spiritual root will disappear as well. This is my last chance. As Duan Lingtian's divine consciousness entered Gu Long's soul, he hastily urged Hualao. As Duan Lingtian urged Elder Hua, he placed his hand on Gu Long's forehead and cast the divine ability, the Elementary Devouring Tactic. He was ready to attack at any time. All right. When Hualao sensed Duan Lingtian's anxiousness, he did not dare to delay any longer. He quickly used his divine consciousness to guide Duan Lingtian's divine consciousness to sense Gu Long's innate spiritual root. His innate spiritual root is of a higher grade than the one you devoured previously. For this reason, the aura in his innate spiritual root is much denser. I've sensed it. As soon as Hualao finished speaking, Duan Lingtian immediately sensed Gu Long's innate spiritual root. Just as Hualao had said, Gu Long's innate spiritual root was a blue innate spiritual root. Its presence was much stronger than Gu Chun's innate spiritual root that Duan Lingtian had devoured previously. For this reason, Duan Lingtian immediately sensed Gu Long's innate spiritual root and locked onto it. After locking onto Gu Long's innate spiritual root with his divine consciousness, the next step was simple. Duan Lingtian could complete the task on his own. As the saying went, difficult the first time, easy the second time. This was Duan Lingtian's second time devouring an innate spiritual root. He controlled the devouring energy and merged it with his innate spiritual root before devouring Gulong's innate spiritual root. I didn't expect Gulong to lose so much of his innate spiritual root even though I acted so quickly. As Duan Lingtian sighed, he could clearly sense the changes in his innate spiritual root. The speed at which he sensed the heaven and earth spirit energy was a few times faster than usual. Your innate spiritual root has transformed from dark yellow to dark green. Wu Lao reminded Duan Lingtian in a timely manner. It's just as I expected. Duan Lingtian was not surprised by this outcome. No matter what, Gulong's innate spiritual root was a blue innate spiritual root. Even if he lost some of it during the devouring process, it was still a piece of cake for him to transform his yellow innate spiritual root into a green innate spiritual root. Stop. At this moment, a loud shout resonated in the air again. It shocked Duan Lingtian so much that he regained his senses. He immediately withdrew his 10,000 swords territory. When Duan Lingtian withdrew his 10,000 swords territory, he discovered two old figures had arrived near the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Based on the robes the two old men were wearing, it was obvious they were the Black Turtle Sanctum's Silver Flame Elders. One of them was no stranger to Duan Lingtian. If it was any other time, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene would have bowed to the two old men. However, at this moment they were looking at the sky not far away. As the territory that resembled a golden light shield disappeared, a young man hovered in the air and scathed. Not far away from him, a corpse fell from the sky. A moment later, it crashed heavily on the ground with a boom. Boom. When the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene heard this, they were shocked. When they regained their senses, an expression of disbelief appeared on their faces. How's this possible? Gulong. Gulong is dead. He's a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. A martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage died in the hands of an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator? Can someone tell me what the F***ck is going on? Am I dreaming? The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene fell silent for a moment before an uproar broke out. Goodness, what did they just see? A genius martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage who possessed a blue innate spiritual root had died in the hands of an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator who possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. If they did not see this with their own eyes, they would not have believed it even if they were beaten to death. Brother. A sorrowful cry rang in the air as a figure descended from the sky and appeared above Gulong's corpse. His face turned pale as he looked at Gulong's corpse. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that his cousin, whom he regarded as his savior, would actually die. He had died in the hands of someone he hated to the core. How's this possible? Impossible? Gu Chun shook his head as he looked at Gulong's corpse. In the end, he muttered to himself in disbelief, "You're not my brother. You're not my brother. My brother can't be so useless. My brother can't be so useless. So he's your cousin who possesses a blue innate spiritual root?" In the next instant, an old figure appeared next to Gu Chun. He looked at Gulong's corpse as he asked in a deep voice. The appearance of this person immediately caused Gu Chun to quiver. He completely recovered from his shock. Master. Chapter 1929. The old man who appeared next to Gu Chun was none other than the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, Lian. He was also Gu Chun's master. He was willing to accept Gu Chun as his disciple because Gu Chun had promised to let his cousin, a martial genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root, become his disciple as well. It could be said that he had accepted Gu Chun as his disciple for the sake of Gu Chun's cousin. Today, when Lian received the Bronze Flame Elder's report that Gu Chun's cousin had come to the Black Turtle Sanctum for Zoroastrianism, he was extremely happy. He had even waited for Gu Chun's cousin to come and look for him after catching up with Gu Chun. Who would have thought that instead of waiting for the person, they would receive a piece of shocking news? Gu Chun's cousin Gulong had disregarded the Zoroastrianism's rules and attacked Duan Lingtian in the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples with the intention of killing Duan Lingtian. Although Lian was shocked when he heard this, he was not worried at all. No matter what, Gulong was a martial genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root. Even if he killed Duan Lingtian in the Zoroastrianism, he would only receive a symbolic punishment. Duan Lingtian was merely a mediocre person who possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. In terms of value, he was nothing compared to Gulong. Naturally, in terms of value as a Silver Flame Elder, Lian was undoubtedly more valuable than Gulong in the eyes of Zoroastrianism. However, since he was a Silver Flame Elder and could represent the fire worship sect, he could not act recklessly like Gulong and attack the disciples of the fire worship sect. Otherwise, the damage to the reputation of Zoroastrianism was not something a Silver Flame Elder like him could make up for with his life. For this reason, although Lian was a Silver Flame Elder of Zoroastrianism, he did not dare to act recklessly against Duanling Tian. Otherwise, Duanling Tian would have died in his hands long ago, and it would have been impossible for him to survive until now. Although Lian was not worried about Gulong's safety, he still personally came over just to be safe. With him around, the other Silver Flame Elder in charge of enforcing the law in the Black Turtle Sanctum would, naturally, treat Gulong who had killed Duanling Tian with kindness. From the beginning to the end, he had never doubted whether Gulong could kill Duanling Tian. In his opinion, there was no suspense at all. Gu Chun had long told him that Gulong was a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Killing an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator was easier than killing a chicken or cutting grass. Dead? He's actually dead. Lian did not expect to see Duanling Tian's body when he arrived at the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Instead, he saw the body of Gulong who was about to become his direct disciple. Gulong was a martial Dao genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root. Due to this reason, Gulong's importance in Lian's heart had far surpassed Gu Chun's even though he had not seen him before. Due to this reason he was filled with rage. A direct disciple who possessed a blue innate spiritual root was killed just like that. Duanling Tian, how dare you kill your fellow disciple? In the next instant, Lian's eyes gleamed coldly as he shouted. He raised his head and stared at Duanling Tian who was hovering in the air in the distance. At this moment he wanted nothing more than to tear Duanling Tian into pieces again. However, he could not act recklessly. Currently, Duanling Tian was already a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, a disciple of Zoroastrianism. Even if he was guilty of killing his fellow disciple, only the enforcement elder in the Zoroastrianism could punish him. Although Lian was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, he did not have the authority to do so. However, this did not mean he could not convict Duanling Tian of his crimes. Killing my fellow disciple? Upon hearing Lian's words, Duanling Tian was stunned for a moment before he laughed out loud. It was as though he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. What are you laughing at? Lian's expression turned grave. Killing intent flashed in his eyes as though he was about to devour someone. I'm laughing at the fact that someone who's a Silver Flame Elder only knows how to lie. After Duanling Tian stopped laughing, he looked at Lian indifferently and said mockingly, You. Lian naturally knew Duanling Tian was talking about him. However, since Duanling Tian did not mention his name, there was nothing he could do no matter how angry he was. If Duanling Tian had mentioned him, he could still punish Duanling Tian for disrespecting a Silver Flame Elder. Even if he could not kill Duanling Tian, he could still vent his anger. However, Duanling Tian seemed to know what he was thinking. He did not give him a chance at all. Senior brothers and senior sisters, you are all my witnesses for today's matter. At the same time, Duanling Tian glanced at the other Silver Flame Elder who was standing in the distance. Then, he looked around and said in a loud voice that was neither servile nor overbearing. I, Duanling Tian, killed Gulong because Gulong tried to kill me first. According to the sect's rules, I'm not guilty even if I killed him under such circumstances. However, I've always been a merciful person. Even if Gulong wanted to kill me, I didn't intend to kill him in the beginning. It wasn't until he harmed the innocent and killed more than 10 senior brothers and sisters that I couldn't suppress the anger in my heart and killed him instead. You can consider this as revenge for my senior brothers and senior sisters. Duanling Tian's words were filled with righteousness. Killed more than 10 of your senior brothers and senior sisters? Upon hearing Duanling Tian's words, the Silver Flame Elder who came to the Black Turtle Sanctum's residence with Lian turned grave immediately. In the next instant he looked at Gulong's corpse that was lying on the ground. His eyes shone coldly as though he wanted to whip Gulong's corpse. Elder Guo, don't listen to his nonsense. Lian said in a low voice. The Silver Flame Elder who came to the Black Turtle Sanctum's residence with Lian was none other than Guxiong, the Silver Flame Elder who was in charge of enforcing the Black Turtle Sanctum's laws. Apart from being the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder, Guxiong was also a Silver Flame Elder whose strength was only second to Lian in the Black Turtle Sanctum. However, due to his identity as the enforcement elder, even Lian was wary of him. Moreover, if they were to fight, even if Lian could defeat him, he would have to pay a high price. Elder Lian, do you think I'm senile? There are so many people here, I'll have my own opinion on whether he's talking nonsense or not. Guxiong said nonchalantly as he glanced at Lian coldly. The reason Guxiong was able to become the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder was because nobody had ever questioned his impartiality. Guxiong had always been a law enforcer. He would not wrongly accuse anyone who was innocent, and he would not let anyone who was guilty go. Soon after, Guxiong learned about what had happened from the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene. His expression turned grave immediately. More than 10 Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples had died just like that. If news of this spread out, how would he be able to show his face as the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder? In the end, as the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder, Guxiong made the final judgment. Gulong took the initiative to kill his fellow disciples. Moreover, he killed 17 of his fellow disciples. He deserves to die. Duan Lingtian acted in self-defense. He's not guilty. Since Duan Lingtian killed Gulong after Gulong killed 17 of his fellow disciples, not only is he not guilty, but he's also meritorious. In our Black Turtle Sanctum and the entire Zoroastrianism, we're all about punishing those who commit crimes and rewarding those who perform meritorious deeds. As for how to reward Duan Lingtian, I'll report this to Lord Sanctum Leader, and Lord Sanctum Leader will decide for himself. Gulong's judgment was simple and direct. Gulong deserved to die. Duan Lingtian was meritorious and not at fault. Upon hearing Guxiong's judgment, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene instinctively looked at Duan Lingtian with envy in their eyes. The reward from Lord Sanctum Leader was definitely not simple. Although Lian was dissatisfied with Guxiong's judgment, he could not refute it. He could only stand in the distance and sulk. Elder Gua, I don't accept this. At this moment, Gu Chuanli stood up and looked at Guxiong. He said with an unwilling expression, "My brother didn't intentionally kill those 10 of his fellow disciples. My brother didn't intentionally kill those 10+ fellow disciples, but he accidentally killed them during the battle with Duan Lingtian. Even if he didn't die later on, it was impossible for him to kill his fellow disciples. As for Elder Gua's judgment that my brother deserved to die, I accept it. However, if you say that Duan Lingtian deserved to die, I don't accept it." Although Gu Chuanli had long known that Duan Lingtian was in the right and would not be punished, Gu Chuanli felt that Gu Chuanli deserved to die. When Gu Chuanli heard that Duan Lingtian deserved to die and would be rewarded by Lord Sanctum Leader, his eyes turned red immediately. He quickly voiced his dissatisfaction. He wanted Guxiong to cancel the reward that he had promised to Duan Lingtian. "If you didn't speak up, I would have almost forgotten about you." Just as Gu Chun was looking at Guxiong with hopeful eyes, Guxiong's gaze also landed on him. Following that, a cold glint appeared in his eyes. "Elder Guo, what do you mean by that?" Gu Chuanli's expression changed. I don't think I've violated the sex rules, right?" "Are you sure you didn't violate the sex rules?" Guxiong said with a mocking smile on his face. "In that case, I'd like to ask you, why did Gulong attack Duan Lingtian? Do you dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath that you didn't instigate him? If you do, I won't make things difficult for you today." Upon hearing this, Gu Chuanli's expression changed again. A hint of fear could be seen in his eyes. In the next moment, he looked at Lian who was standing nearby and sent a voice transmission to him, "Master, save me." However, Lian merely glanced at Gu Chuanli indifferently when he heard the voice transmission before he left in a flash. As he left, Lian's voice resonated in the air. His voice was cold and emotionless. "Gu Chun has violated the sex rules. From today onward, he's no longer my disciple." A single sentence, a very short sentence, cut off the relationship between him and Gu Chun. To Lian, Gu Chun had lost his value since Gulong was no longer around. Naturally, he would not miss the opportunity to get rid of Gu Chun. "No. Master, you can't do this. You can't do this." Upon hearing this, Gu Chun's face turned pale immediately. He wanted to chase after Lian, Hermf. Chapter 1930. Gu Chun instigated Gulong to kill Duan Lingtian and caused the death of 17 of his fellow disciples. Since he didn't kill Duan Lingtian himself, I'll spare him from death, but I'll punish him. Gu Chun will be expelled from the Black Turtle Sanctum and Zoroastrianism. He'll never be allowed to join Zoroastrianism again. At the same time that Guxiong stopped Gu Chun, he also made a judgment against Gu Chun. He would be expelled from Zoroastrianism. Gu Chun's expression changed drastically when he heard Guxiong's decision. A hint of despair could be seen in his eyes. After a while he seemed to have recalled something as he looked at Duan Lingtian. His eyes were cold and filled with hatred. In his opinion, if it was not for Duan Lingtian he would not be where he was today. In this lifetime, even if his cultivation base did not improve at all, he would not let Duan Lingtian off so easily. Since he was no match for Duan Lingtian, he would make his move on the people around Duan Lingtian. After he left Zoroastrianism, he would do everything he could to find out more about Duan Lingtian. He did not believe Duan Lingtian's friends and family would be stronger than him. Duan Lingtian could not help but frown when he saw Gu Chun's gaze. Currently, Gu Chun was merely a cripple, so he did not care about him at all. However, he could not help but feel uneasy about letting someone who hated him live in this world. Why don't I follow him when he leaves the Black Turtle Sanctum and kill him to eliminate him once and for all? Duan Lingtian muttered to himself. However, as soon as this thought appeared in his mind, he quickly dismissed it. That's too risky. Who knows if he'll be the Oriole behind the mantis stalking the cicada when I follow Gu Chun? With this thought in mind, Duan Lingtian completely dismissed the idea of following Gu Chun and killing him. When Duan Lingtian looked at Guxiong again, his eyes brightened as though he had just recalled something. Elder Guxiong. Duan Lingtian greeted Guxiong immediately. Upon hearing this, Guxiong regained his senses. He immediately looked at Duan Lingtian and asked, "What's the matter?" Elder Guxiong, since Gu Chun is no longer a disciple of the Black Turtle Sanctum, and he's no longer a disciple of Zoroastrianism, can I be so bold as to ask Elder Guxiong to kill him as a reward? What do you think? In that case, Elder Guxiong, you don't have to make Lord Sanctum Leader worry about my reward anymore. Duan Lingtian spoke bluntly and stated the reward he wanted. For this reward, Duan Lingtian was reward. Gu Chun's expression changed when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Duan Lingtian's s Lingtian Lingtian is to Lingtian's is t Lingtian was s Lingtian Hua. When the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples heard Duan Lingtian's words, they could not help but burst into an uproar. Duan Lingtian, in order to kill Gu Chun, he actually gave up the reward from Lord Altar Master? Is he crazy? With his strength, it's entirely possible for him to tail Gu Chun and kill him after he leaves the fire worship sect. Is it necessary for him to give up on Lord Sanctum Leader's reward and let Elder Guxiong do it for him? Crazy. He's definitely crazy. Most of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples thought Duan Lingtian was crazy to make such a decision. Naturally, there were also a few Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who managed to figure out what was going on. Due to the enmity between Duan Lingtian and Elder Lien, I'm afraid he won't dare to follow Gu Chun after he leaves. If Elder Lien is the Oriole behind, his death will be in vain. That is indeed a possibility. As long as Elder Lien kills Duan Lingtian, nobody will be able to find out that he's the one who killed Duan Lingtian. Apart from being meticulous, Duan Lingtian is also very daring to make such a decision. After all, not everyone can give up the reward from Lord Altar Master just like that. Put everything else aside, I admire Duan Lingtian for this alone. These Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples were more clear-headed. They had thought about many things. They could completely see through Duan Lingtian's thoughts. Are you sure you want to give up Lord Altar Master's reward for this reward? Guxiong had also guessed Duan Lingtian's thoughts. He looked at Duan Lingtian intently before he asked. Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded confidently. The reward from the Sanctum Master of the Black Turtle Sanctum? To be honest, he did not think the Sanctum Master of the Black Turtle Sanctum would be able to give him anything he needed. Divine ability? He did not lack it for the time being. Martial tactics? He had the Sovereign Heart Sword. 100 Inscriptions Saint Weapon? He already had it in his hands. Pills, Tao Talismans and the like? He did not really want anything at this moment. After considering all these factors, he decided to give up the reward from the Sanctum Master of the Black Turtle Sanctum in exchange for Gu Chun's life. Elder Gui, you can't do this. Why you can't? Gu Chun's expression changed completely when he saw Guxiong looking at him after Duan Lingtian nodded. An expression of fear and despair could be seen in his eyes. However, his voice soon came to an abrupt halt. This was because when Guxiong raised his right hand and closed it around Gu Chun's body suddenly exploded with a bang. His blood rained down on the ground and became nutrients for the earth. How powerful! Is this the strength of a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse? When Duan Lingtian saw this, his eyes could not help but narrow as shock appeared on his face. The expressions of the other Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples turned grave as well. They looked at Guxiong in awe. After dealing with the problem and disposing of Gulong's body, Guxiong left the area where the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples stayed. He came and went without a trace. After Guxiong left, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples shifted their attention to Duanling Tian in unison. At this moment they finally had the time to focus on Duanling Tian. Duanling Tian has mastered a high-grade movement divine ability that's obviously superior to the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's movement divine ability. He only has a yellow innate spiritual root, but he's so lucky. Not only did he encounter a high-grade movement divine ability, but he even managed to comprehend and master it. I'm so envious. He must have had a fortuitous encounter. Not only that, but the assist-type divine ability he cast also raised his saint energy by 2 levels in such a short time. I'm guessing that assist-type divine ability must be a high-grade divine ability as well. An ordinary martial cultivator with a yellow innate spiritual root managed to comprehend and master 2 high-grade divine abilities at the same time? His luck is simply heaven-defying. Although his luck is heaven-defying, based on the fact that he managed to comprehend 2 high-grade divine abilities, apart from his martial Dao innate talent, he's not weak at all. At the very least, he has a unique advantage when it comes to comprehending divine abilities. Since he's so talented in comprehending divine abilities, I wonder if he'll be able to comprehend our Black Turtle Sanctum's most treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. That's impossible, right? The Black Turtle's Barrier is the #1 defensive divine ability in Zoroastrianism. Even in the current era of Zoroastrianism, there are less than 10 people who have successfully comprehended it. It's hard to say. The group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves. Their attention was focused on the 2 high-grade divine abilities that Duanling Tian had cast earlier. As for the high-grade divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples did not notice it at all since it was too fast and was concealed by the 10,000 Swords territory. Otherwise they would have been more surprised. Although they did not notice the high-grade offensive divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, that Duanling Tian had cast, some of them recalled the 3 short-lived sounds of sword whistling in the air before Gulong was killed by Duanling Tian. I remember that at the moment before Gulong died, I heard 3 sword whistling sounds that rang out at almost the same time. And there were 3 bloody holes on Gulong's body. It should have been pierced by 3 swords. That must be the sword-type martial tactic Duanling Tian cast. However, based on the fact that he managed to break through Gulong's defense, it's obvious that the sword-type martial tactic he cast is not simple. It's indeed not simple. It might even be a sword-type martial tactic from a heaven-rank prominent saint-grade martial tactic that has been cultivated to an extremely high stage. It's a pity that Duanling Tian's territory blocked our line of sight so we didn't get to see the most exciting scene. Unknowingly, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples had shifted their attention to the method Duanling Tian used to kill Gulong as they discussed among themselves. The more they discussed, the more excited they became. It was as though they did not feel tired at all. Duanling Tian shook his head when he saw this. He turned around and prepared to return to the Tertius house that he stayed in. However, when he turned around and saw the collapsed Tertius house, he recalled that Gulong had destroyed his Tertius house. After shaking his head again, Duanling Tian moved in a flash and entered a Tertius house nearby that had its door wide open. Then he closed the door, not caring who originally lived there. If anyone had any objections they could challenge him. As long as they defeated him, he would naturally give up his Tertius house. The owner of this Tertius house was a mastery exemplary Saint Stage Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple. When he saw Duanling Tian entering his Tertius house, he smiled wryly. However, he did not dare to say anything, let alone try to snatch his house back. It just so happens that Gu Chun's Tertius house is empty now. His gaze quickly landed on Gu Chun's tertiary grade house. After entering the new Tertius house, Duanling Tian immediately took out the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda. After asking Hua Lao to guard him, he entered the 4th level of the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda with just a thought and began to cultivate. He could not wait to experience his innate spiritual root after it had transformed. According to Hua Lao, his innate spiritual root was currently a green innate spiritual root. Moreover, it was a dark green innate spiritual root. I've already roughly experienced the transformation of my innate spiritual root. The speed at which I sense and absorb the heaven and earth spirit energy is a few times faster than before. Based on this speed, I'll be able to break through to the intermediate divine saint stage in 3 months at most. Chapter 1931. A month ago, when Duanling Tian realized the Black Turtle Sanctum's most treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, was difficult to comprehend, he did not continue to fight with it. Instead, he began to focus on raising his cultivation base. Only a month had passed in the outside world, but 300 days had passed in the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. 300 days was almost a year's time. During this period of time, Duanling Tian had used his dark yellow innate spiritual root to complete half of the journey from the early Divine Saint stage to the intermediate Divine Saint stage. Based on his previous progress, it would take him 1.5 years in the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda to complete the remaining journey. Naturally, 1.5 years in the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda was only about 50 days in the outside world. That was when Duanling Tian's innate spiritual root was still a yellow innate spiritual root. Currently, Duanling Tian's innate spiritual root had devoured Gulong's blue innate spiritual root with the help of the domineering divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, and had undergone another transformation. It had directly transformed into a green innate spiritual root. Moreover, it was a dark green innate spiritual root. It was considered a top innate talent among those who possessed a green innate spiritual root. It really only took me 10 days. Inside the Tertius house, Duanling Tian, who had been immersed in his cultivation for a long time, suddenly opened his eyes and muttered to himself, "I've been cultivating for a long time and I've been cultivating for a long time." At this moment, Duanling Tian's aura seemed to have changed slightly. He had made a breakthrough. Only 10 days had passed in the outside world, but 3 months had passed in the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. Duanling Tian had also successfully made a breakthrough in these 3 months. His cultivation base had officially broken through to the intermediate Divine Saint stage. The difference is more than 5 times. If I didn't devour Gulong's blue innate spiritual root, it's impossible for me to make a breakthrough in just 10 days in the outside world. According to my previous estimation, with my original innate spiritual root, I'll need at least 50 days in the outside world to successfully complete the breakthrough. After another round of mumbling, a smile of excitement gradually appeared on Duanling Tian's face. The transformation of his innate spiritual root had further increased his cultivation speed. With my current innate spiritual root and the assistance from the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, even a monstrous genius with a blue innate spiritual root wouldn't be able to compare to me in terms of cultivation speed. Even a monstrous genius with a dark blue innate spiritual root would be twice as fast as me in terms of cultivation speed. With this thought, Duanling Tian became even more excited. However, although my cultivation speed is fast, it's still much slower than the peerless genius with an indigo innate spiritual root. The moment Duanling Tian thought about the peerless genius with an indigo innate spiritual root, he felt as though a bucket of cold water had been splashed on his head. After a jolt, he finally regained his senses. Now, I'm certain Ker's twin sister is a peerless genius with an indigo innate spiritual root. Otherwise, it's impossible for her to possess a strength above the exemplary saint stage when she's only in her early 30s. Duanling Tian suddenly recalled Chi Mei, who had taken Ker away. She was a woman who looked exactly like Ker. At that time, even Di Ju, who was at the peak of the divine saint stage, was like a mouse that had seen a cat when he stood before her. Based on this, one could see how powerful she was. She was definitely at the exemplary saint stage or above. However, with my divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, I'll be able to catch up to her and even surpass her in terms of innate talent. Duanling Tian's eyes gleamed as confidence rose in his heart. As long as his innate spiritual root transformed into a blue innate spiritual root, coupled with the assistance of the time flow on the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, his cultivation speed might be able to catch up to an ordinary peerless genius with an indigo innate spiritual root. The peerless genius with an indigo innate spiritual root referred to a peerless genius with a light indigo innate spiritual root. After all, even a peerless genius with an indigo innate spiritual root would have different innate talents. Light indigo, normal indigo, and dark indigo had different innate talents. For example, Duanling Tian possessed a dark green innate spiritual root. His innate talent could be considered as one of the best among all the martial geniuses with green innate spiritual roots. Now that I've broken through to the intermediate divine saint stage, the sun saint energy is comparable to the saint energy of an ordinary intermediate exemplary saint stage powerhouse. Currently, it's not impossible for me to defeat an ordinary early quintessential saint stage powerhouse even if I don't use the Jasper Celestial Sword. The moment Duanling Tian thought of this, he left the Tertius house. It's time for me to change my cultivation place. As soon as Duanling Tian walked out of the Tertius house, he lifted his head and looked at the hundreds of floating islands in the sky. Each of the hundreds of floating islands had a small courtyard. There were even secundus houses in the small courtyards. Compared to the tertius house, the cultivation environment in the secundus house was much better. There were 5 spirit gathering formations set up in the secundus house. The heaven and earth spirit energy inside was half as abundant as the primus house. 100 secundus houses. It's said that most of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples staying in the secundus houses are at the early quintessential saint stage. Some of them are at the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Duan Lingtian had been in the Black Turtle Sanctum for quite some time now. He had a certain understanding of the primus houses, secundus houses, tertius houses, and tertius houses in the Black Turtle Sanctum. He also knew a little about the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' cultivation base in each house. I shouldn't be so unlucky as to choose the secundus house where the intermediate quintessential saint stage disciples stay, right? Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he rose into the air. It's Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian seems to be heading to the secundus house. What's he trying to do? Don't tell me he's going to challenge the senior brothers and senior sisters in the secundus house to obtain the right to stay there? In the Black Turtle Sanctum's residence. Most people were cultivating in their rooms. However, there were also a few people who were discussing martial Dao and martial techniques outside. They instantly noticed Duan Lingtian, who had walked out of the tertius house and was heading to the secundus house. If it was an ordinary Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, they would not have paid any attention to him. However, it was difficult for them to not pay attention to Duan Lingtian, who was famous in the Black Turtle Sanctum. As soon as Duan Lingtian entered the Black Turtle Sanctum, his name had already spread through the entire Black Turtle Sanctum. This was because he was the first person who dared to provoke the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, Lian. Killing the son of Lian's best friend in front of him was not something that anyone could or would dare to do. However, Duan Lingtian had done it. He did not hesitate to offend Lian. 10 days ago, Duan Lingtian had killed Gulong, who had just entered the Black Turtle Sanctum. His name spread through the entire Black Turtle Sanctum again. Apart from being a martial genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root, Gulong was also a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, merely possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. He was extremely ordinary and was only an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. From the beginning, nobody thought highly of Duan Lingtian. However, under such circumstances, Duan Lingtian relied on 2 powerful divine abilities that were suspected to be high-grade divine abilities to turn the tables and kill Gulong. From then on, his name spread through the entire Black Turtle Sanctum. In the past, Duan Lingtian's name had spread through the Black Turtle Sanctum because he had overestimated himself and offended Lian. However, currently, Duan Lingtian's name had spread through the Black Turtle Sanctum because of his strength. The 2 of them could not be mentioned in the same breath. At this moment, many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples had noticed Duan Lingtian. However, most of them were looking at Duan Lingtian with a hint of respect in their eyes. Duan Lingtian's strength had caused them to be in awe of him. It seems like Duan Lingtian really wants to challenge the senior brothers and senior sisters living in the secundus house to obtain the right to stay there. When the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples saw Duan Lingtian looking at the secundus house, they could guess what Duan Lingtian was going to do. I admire senior brother Duan Lingtian's strength. However, with senior brother Duan Lingtian's strength, I'm afraid it's still not enough for him to obtain the right to stay in the secundus house, right? Soon after, a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple voiced his doubts. Indeed. 10 days ago, although senior brother Duan Lingtian's strength is strong, it's only at the peak of the exemplary saint stage at most. There's still quite a distance between him and the quintessential saint stage. The weakest among the senior brothers and senior sisters living in the secundus house is at the early quintessential saint stage. With senior brother Duan Lingtian's current strength, I'm afraid it's not enough for him to fight with them. If you can think of this, don't tell me senior brother Duan Lingtian didn't think of this as well? In my opinion, senior brother Duan Lingtian must be confident. That's why he went to the secundus house to challenge them. The group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves. Some of them felt Duan Lingtian's strength was not enough for him to obtain the right to stay in the secundus house. Some of them felt since Duan Lingtian dared to compete for the right to stay in the secundus house, he must be confident in his strength. However, compared to the former, the latter was not as popular. Most of them felt Duan Lingtian's strength was not enough for him to obtain the right to stay in the secundus house. Their understanding of Duan Lingtian's strength was still the same as it was 10 days ago. They did not think Duan Lingtian's strength would change much in just 10 days. All of a sudden, the sound of a door opening resonated in the air, attracting Duan Lingtian's attention. This was because the sound of a door opening came from one of the Secundus houses. The Black Turtle Sanctum's residences had their own rules as well. Usually, when one competed for the right to stay in the Secundus house, one was not allowed to challenge a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who was in closed-door cultivation. This was because it would disturb others. It was considered rude. Only when the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple walked out of his room could he issue a challenge. Chapter 1932. When the door was opened, a tall middle-aged man walked out of the Secundus house. He had a dark expression on his face. With just a glance, one could tell he was not a good-tempered person. It's Senior Brother Jianghu. Senior Brother Jianghu is one of the best devil cultivators at the early quintessential saint stage. Senior Brother Duan Lingtian won't challenge him to snatch his Secundus house, right? I don't think so. When the middle-aged man walked out, before Duan Lingtian could even challenge him, many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples began to whisper among themselves. Early quintessential saint stage? Upon hearing these Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' whispers, Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up immediately. As it turned out, he was worried he would be unlucky and encounter an intermediate quintessential saint stage Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who was staying in the Secundus house. However, it seemed like his worries were unnecessary. After waiting for a while, the first Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who walked out of the Secundus house was an early quintessential saint stage devil cultivator. At this moment, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples realized Duan Lingtian might be trying to snatch the right to stay in the Secundus house. For this reason, they began to soar into the air and surround him. When their whispers entered Duan Lingtian's ears, it also entered Jianghu's ears. You want to snatch my Secundus house? Upon hearing the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' whispers, Jianghu's expression turned grave as his eyes flashed coldly. Then, his eyes instantly shifted to Duan Lingtian who was looking at him. He asked coldly, "You're Duan Lingtian? You want to snatch my Secundus house?" This was because Jianghu had been in closed-door cultivation for the past few months and had only come out today. Due to this reason, he did not know there was a new person called Duan Lingtian in the Black Turtle Sanctum. He also did not know Duan Lingtian was a celebrity in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Ha! Before Duan Lingtian could open his mouth, a hearty laugh sounded in the air. Jianghu, don't tell me you haven't even heard of this Duan Lingtian Jr. brother? A person slowly walked out of a second-class house not far away. It was a young man, and the hearty laughter came from him. The moment he came out, he looked at Jianghu as if he was looking at a monster. It's Senior Brother Jianghu. I heard that Senior Martial Brother Jianghu doesn't get along well with Senior Martial Brother Jianghu. Seems to be true. Senior Martial Brother Jianghu, don't tell me you're here to add insult to injury? I heard Senior Brother Jianghu is even stronger than Senior Brother Jianghu. He's already halfway into the intermediate quintessential saint stage. When the young man came out, a group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples began to surround him and whisper to each other. As they spoke, they revealed his name and his cultivation base. Jianghu was a handsome young man with a jade-like face. His long hair was tied up with a hairband. He had a pair of long and narrow almond-shaped eyes. Apart from his handsome appearance, there was a hint of devilish charm in his eyes. At this moment he was looking at Jianghu with a mocking expression. Jianghu was a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance. He was tall and he looked like an iron tower as he stood there. Upon hearing Jianghu's mocking words, Jianghu could not help but glare at him with hostility. Jianghu, so what if I haven't heard of this Duan Lingtian Jr. brother? No matter who it is, they'll have to pay the price in blood if they want to snatch my residence. The moment Jianghu's words left his mouth, he shifted his gaze to Duan Lingtian again. His eyes flashed coldly. Brat, if you know what's good for you, you better not have any ideas about my residence. Otherwise, I'll beat you up so badly that even your parents won't be able to recognize you. The moment Jianghu spoke, he did not hold back at all. He directly threatened Duan Lingtian. At the same time, Jianghu no longer spoke. Instead, he studied Duan Lingtian curiously. When Duan Lingtian had just entered the Black Turtle Sanctum, he had heard about Duan Lingtian. 10 days ago, he had even witnessed the battle between Duan Lingtian and Gu Long. He was also amazed by the strength Duan Lingtian had displayed. However, at that time he discovered that although Duan Lingtian was strong, he was only at the peak of the exemplary saint stage at most. He was not at the quintessential saint stage yet. 10 days later, a scene that surprised him appeared. Duan Lingtian actually wanted to snatch the Secundus house. It seems like junior brother Duan Lingtian has also improved in these 10 days. Otherwise, he wouldn't have waited until now to snatch the Secundus house. I wonder how strong he is now. I'm really looking forward to it. Jianghu thought to himself as he looked at Duan Lingtian expectantly. Although he did not have much interaction with Duan Lingtian, he could tell that Duan Lingtian was not a fool. He knew junior brother Duan Lingtian was not a reckless person. Since he dared to snatch the Secundus house, he must be confident. Beat me up to the point that even my parents won't recognize me? Upon hearing Zhang Ji's words, Duan Lingtian was stunned. Then he could not help but sneer. Are you that confident in your strength? Your smile makes me very unhappy. However, I've changed my mind. Zhang Ji's expression darkened when he saw the mocking smile on Duan Lingtian's face. He said coldly, Today, unless you crawl under my crotch and kowtow to me 3 times, I won't let you go. Otherwise, even if you don't challenge me and snatch my house, I Zhang Ji won't let you go. I won't kill or cripple you. However, I'll let you experience the pain of living and make you wish you were dead. When Zhang Ji reached the end of his sentence, his eyes gleamed coldly. Zhang Ji was not a good-tempered person to begin with. Earlier, Jiangchu's teasing had ignited a fire in his heart. When he saw Duan Lingtian looking at him with a mocking smile on his face, the flames of anger in his heart were instantly ignited. Moreover, there were so many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples watching. Naturally, he did not want to embarrass himself. Zhang Ji, you've crossed the line. Jiangchu frowned. He could not stand it anymore. Jiangchu, mind your own business. I don't want to fight with you today. Upon hearing Jiangchu's words, Zhang Ji's expression darkened even more. After he looked at Jiangchu coldly, he shifted his gaze to Duan Lingtian again. You? Jiangchu's expression changed immediately. His robe fluttered as he tried to make a move. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's voice rang in the air and stopped him. Senior brother Jiangchu, thank you for your kindness. I know there's a conflict between you and Zhang Jisoo, but why don't you let me handle this? As Duan Lingtian spoke, he looked at Jiangchu. When Jiangchu saw Duan Lingtian's calm gaze, he calmed down immediately. In the end he nodded. All right. I'll give you face, junior brother Duan Lingtian. After Jiangchu finished speaking, he looked at Zhang Ji coldly. You're Zhang Ji, right? When Duan Lingtian shifted his gaze from Jiangchu to Zhang Ji, his calm expression was no longer calm. It was replaced with coldness. Even if I want to challenge you and take your residence, I'm still following the Black Turtle Sanctum's rules. I'm following the rules of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' residence. I'm following the rules by challenging you. However, you want to humiliate me? If you can't achieve your goal, you want to make me wish I was dead? When Duan Lingtian reached the end of his sentence, his voice was so cold that the temperature in the surroundings seemed to have dropped by a few degrees. Earlier, when Zhang Ji saw Duan Lingtian and his old rival Jiangchu exchanging glances, he was furious again. When he heard Duan Lingtian's question, he immediately vented the anger in his heart. I don't care if you're following the Black Turtle Sanctum's rules or not. What can you do if I, Zhang Ji, want to humiliate you? Since you have the guts to challenge me, you should be prepared to be humiliated. How many people in the Black Turtle Sanctum don't know my temper? I'll give you one last chance. Crawl under my crotch and kowtow to me 3 times. Then I'll let this matter go. Otherwise, even if you don't challenge me again, I won't let you go today. I'll slowly torture you and make you wish you were dead. When Zhang Ji reached the end of his sentence, his eyes gleamed coldly. If looks could kill, Duan Lingtian would have been killed by Zhang Ji many times over. I don't care if you're following the Black Turtle Sanctum's rules or not. Zhang Ji, let's see if you have the ability to make me wish I was dead or not. Duan Lingtian was enraged by Zhang Ji's provocation. His eyes gleamed coldly as he looked at Zhang Ji as though he was looking at a dead man. Based on your words, it seems like you plan to continue challenging me? When Zhang Ji heard Duan Lingtian's words, he was so angry that he laughed. Good. Very good. Your courage is commendable. Since you've given up on the chance to make peace with me, don't blame me for not showing you mercy. As soon as Zhang Ji finished speaking, his robe fluttered. The saint energy that belonged to an early quintessential saint stage devil cultivator surged out of his body as a terrifying aura spread out. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold as he mobilized the Sun Saint energy in his body through his 99 saint veins. It's only been a while, but senior brother Duan Lingtian and senior brother Zhang Ji have such a huge conflict? The group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene finally regained their senses at this moment. All of them were dumbfounded. They had witnessed the entire process of Duanling Tian and Zhang Ji's enmity with their own eyes. Everything happened in less than 10 breaths of time. Senior brother Zhang Ji's temper is still the same as before. I'm afraid Duanling Tian is going to suffer a little. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples chimed in. I'm looking forward to senior brother Duanling Tian's counterattack and defeat senior brother Zhang Ji. I really want to see what kind of expression the short-tempered senior brother Zhang Ji will have at that time. Some Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples chimed in. Their words were filled with anticipation. I think all of you must be dreaming. Although Duanling Tian's strength is not bad, it's not to the point where he can be compared to senior brother Zhang Ji. He's destined to be defeated by senior brother Zhang Ji today. That's right. Right now, Duanling Tian has already lost his mind due to anger. If he can calm down, he definitely won't try to challenge senior brother Zhang Ji again. Most of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples did not think Duanling Tian was a match for Zhang Ji. Chapter 1933. In the opinion of most of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples, it was not a big deal. Although Duanling Tian was strong and had killed Gu Long, a disciple at the peak of the exemplary saint stage from the Black Turtle Sanctum, it did not mean he was stronger than Zhang Ji. Perhaps, in terms of innate talent, Gu Long possessed a blue innate spiritual root and was stronger than Zhang Ji. However, in terms of strength, Zhang Ji, however, was far from what Gu Long could compare to. No matter what, Gu Long was only a disciple at the peak of the exemplary saint stage in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Zhang Ji was an early quintessential saint stage powerhouse in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Coupled with the fact that he was a devil cultivator who focused on tempering his body, his strength surpassed more than 80% of the early quintessential saint stage disciples in the Black Turtle Sanctum. The best among the early quintessential saint stage disciples in the Black Turtle Sanctum? A devil cultivator who focuses on body refinement? As more and more Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples gathered around, Duanling Tian heard all kinds of whispers. He had a better understanding of Zhang Ji. He did not miss any useful information. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy and you will never be defeated. However, even if he knew about Zhang Ji's background, Duanling Tian was not afraid at all. His face was calm and unperturbed. Even if he had transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior 10 days ago, he would still be able to fight an ordinary early quintessential saint stage powerhouse to a draw even if he unleashed all of his techniques. Naturally, he would still lose in the end. Because the elementary devouring technique consumed too much of his mental energy, he couldn't maintain it for long. Today his cultivation base had made another breakthrough. It would not be difficult for him to defeat an early quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Even if Zhang Ji was an early quintessential saint stage devil cultivator, one of the strongest early quintessential saint stage disciples in the Black Turtle Sanctum, he was 80% confident he could defeat him. The reason why he wasn't 100% sure was because he still didn't know if Zhang Ji had mastered any high-level divine ability. If Zhang Ji grasped a high-grade divine ability, it would be difficult to defeat him. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene did not know about this. 10 days ago, Duanling Tian did not use his full strength in his battle with Gu Long. He still had the ability to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. The reason why he did not transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior was because he felt that it was unnecessary. Even if he did not transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, he could still defeat and even kill Gu Long. And the end result proved that this was indeed the case. I wonder if I'll be able to defeat Zhang Ji without transforming into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Duanling Tian thought to himself. Duanling Tian stared at Zhang Ji calmly as he muttered in his heart. In the upcoming battle with Zhang Ji, he did not plan to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior right from the beginning. In fact, if it was not necessary, he did not even plan to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. The ability to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior was one of his trump cards. He did not intend to use it unless it was absolutely necessary. A hidden trump card would often have a miraculous effect at a critical moment. He offended Elder Lian as soon as he entered the Black Turtle Sanctum after arriving at the Zoroastrianism. 10 days ago, with his cultivation base at the early exemplary saint stage, he managed to kill a disciple at the peak of the exemplary saint stage who possessed a blue innate spiritual root with 2 powerful divine abilities that are suspected to be high-grade divine abilities. While Duanling Tian gained a deeper understanding of Zhang Ji had also learned about Duanling Tian's deeds from the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. He was shocked as a hint of surprise flashed in the depth of his eyes. It did not cross his mind that the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who wanted to challenge him to snatch his Secundus house was only an early exemplary Saint Stage martial cultivator. At the very least, he was an early exemplary Saint Stage martial cultivator 10 days ago. However, since he had heard that Duanling Tian had killed a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple at the peak of the exemplary Saint Stage, he did not dare to underestimate Duanling Tian. At the very least, Duanling Tian's strength could be considered as one of the best among those at the peak of the exemplary Saint Stage. This was especially true when Duanling Tian cast his movement divine ability. His speed was comparable to an early quintessential Saint Stage powerhouse. Jianghu had learned all of this from the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were spectating. I can't believe that the Black Turtle Sanctum would have such a great person like you, Duanling Tian, when I was in closed-door cultivation. I'm sure you must have made a breakthrough in your cultivation base in the past 10 days and entered the intermediate exemplary Saint Stage, right? Jianghu stared at Duanling Tian as he spoke in a cold voice. He was trying to probe him when he reached the end of his sentence. In his opinion, since Duanling Tian did not have any intention of snatching the Secundus house, it was obvious he knew his place. However, today he wanted to snatch the Secundus house as soon as he came out. It was obvious he was confident in his strength. What? Are you scared? Duanling Tian asked indifferently as he smirked when he heard Jianghu's probing question. Scared? Under the watchful eyes of the others, Jianghu smirked when he heard Duanling Tian's question. Duanling Tian, aren't you overthinking things? I admit that you're quite strong. Once you've broken through to the intermediate exemplary Saint Stage, you'll be able to fight with an ordinary early quintessential Saint Stage powerhouse. However, do you think I, Jianghu, can be compared to an ordinary early quintessential Saint Stage powerhouse? Today Jianghu will let you know what it means by there's always someone better than you. When Jianghu reached the end of his smirk, he suddenly shouted and charged toward Duanling Tian. He was as agile and swift as a swimming dragon. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. As Jianghu charged toward Duanling Tian, the devil qi in a 100-meter radius around him skyrocketed and transformed into hundreds of devil shadows that were formed by pure devil qi. In just a blink of an eye, half of the sky was shrouded by devil qi. It was as though black clouds were pressing down on the city. It felt as though black clouds were pressing down on the city. It's the 100 Devils territory. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples could not help but exclaim. I can't believe Senior Brother Jianghu has already consolidated the 100 Devils territory. It seems like after learning about Duanling Tian's deeds, he no longer dares to underestimate Duanling Tian. He's not holding back at all. Since Senior Brother Duanling Tian dares to snatch the Secundus house today, he must have made a breakthrough just like Senior Brother Jianghu has guessed. Senior Brother Duanling Tian who has broken through to the intermediate exemplary Saint Stage can fight an early quintessential Saint Stage powerhouse with his various techniques. Would Senior Brother Jianghu dare to be careless when facing an opponent who's comparable to an early quintessential Saint Stage powerhouse? That's right. Although Senior Brother Jianghu can be considered as one of the best among early quintessential Saint Stage powerhouses, he's still an early quintessential Saint Stage powerhouse. He's not at the intermediate quintessential Saint Stage or even higher. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves as they stared intently at Jianghu who had consolidated the 100 Devils territory. At this moment, Jianghu was charging toward Duanling Tian at an extremely fast speed. Devil Convergence. Without warning, a loud cry resonated in everyone's ears. It was none other than Jianghu. In the blink of an eye, the hundreds of demonic shadows in his 100 demons domain rushed toward him at an extremely fast speed. In the end, his entire body was submerged within. The hundreds of devils seemed to have transformed into a devil cloud that shrouded Jianghu. At the same time, they charged toward Duanling Tian at an even faster speed. This speed was much faster than an ordinary early quintessential Saint Stage powerhouse. Elementary Devouring Tactic. Golden Crow's Wings. Faced with the ferocious devil cloud, Duanling Tian's expression turned grave immediately. He instantly cast the divine ability, the Elementary Devouring Tactic, and devoured all the heaven and earth spirit energy in his surroundings. Then he activated the Sun Saint energy that had been strengthened. In the next moment, the Golden Crow's wings flew out from Duanling Tian's back and flapped violently. Boom, 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 boom. When the pair of huge wings that were burning with raging flames flapped, the air in the surroundings was compressed to the extreme, causing thunderous explosions to reverberate in the air. At the same time, Duanling Tian increased the distance between him and the devil cloud at a speed that was slightly faster than the devil cloud. During this process, Duan Lingtian discovered the devil cloud was shrinking rapidly. In the end, it actually transformed into a black armor that was suffused with a dense and cold demonic aura. It covered Zhang Ji's body, causing the originally tall and large Zhang Ji to appear as though he had transformed into a demonic god with an oppressive baleful aura. His territory can be used like this? Upon seeing this, Duan Lingtian could not help but feel a little surprised. However, what surprised Duan Lingtian even more was yet to come. Demonic Shadow. With a soft cry, Zhang Ji, who was wearing the black armor, activated his saint energy and cast an intermediate-level movement divine ability. After leaving behind a demonic shadow, his speed increased again. At this moment, in terms of speed, he was actually on par with Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, I've caught up with the speed that you rely on the most. What other tricks do you have? Just use them now. As he shouted, the devil chi on Zhang Ji's body increased again. He activated the devil chi in his body without any reservation, and his speed increased again. Although the increase was not much, it allowed him to be slightly faster than Duan Lingtian. He was slowly closing the distance between him and Duan Lingtian. If this continued, it would not take long for him to catch up to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian is about to be caught up. 10 days ago, Duan Lingtian fought with Gulong. He relied on his speed after casting his movement divine ability. If it wasn't for the fact that his speed is much faster than Gulong, he wouldn't be a match for Gulong at all. That's right. Senior brother Duan Lingtian's biggest advantage is his speed. Now that he's caught up to him, doesn't this mean he's going to be a piece of meat on senior brother Zhang Ji's chopping board? I can't believe this battle is going to end as soon as it has just begun. Upon seeing this, many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples shook their heads. They felt the result of this battle would be out soon. Junior brother Duan Lingtian? Even Jiang Chu could not help but frown at this moment. Chapter 1934. Duan Lingtian's biggest advantage was his speed. All the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene knew this very well. At this moment, Zhang Ji's speed was slightly faster than Duan Lingtian. Moreover, the distance between the two of them was getting smaller and smaller. Everyone felt the battle was going to end soon. I can't believe senior brother Zhang Ji's speed is so fast. Although Duan Lingtian's speed is much faster than 10 days ago, it's still not as fast as senior brother Zhang Ji. Actually, Duan Lingtian's speed is not slow at all. It's comparable to an ordinary early quintessential saint stage martial cultivator. However, he's not facing an ordinary early quintessential saint stage powerhouse. He's facing an elite early quintessential saint stage powerhouse, senior brother Zhang Ji. It seems like senior brother Zhang Ji is only a step away from breaking through to the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to be so fast. As the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves, they were in low spirits. Initially, they thought there would be a fierce battle. It did not cross their minds that it would end so quickly. To think that I even interrupted my closed-door cultivation. How disappointing. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples complained. Some of them regretted interrupting their closed-door cultivation to watch the show. The battle before their eyes was not as exciting as they had imagined. However, soon after, a voice resonated in the ears of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. It was precisely this voice that caused their spirits to involuntarily rise. Do you really think this is my fastest speed? The voice was indifferent. It came from Duan Lingtian. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, the pair of huge wings that were burning with blazing flames on his back began to flap without holding back. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's speed was 20% faster than before. Although he was only 20% faster, he easily left Zhang Ji behind. It was as if he was riding on a cloud of dust, causing Zhang Ji to only be able to eat his dust from afar. When Zhang Ji saw Duan Lingtian's figure gradually disappearing, horror dawned on his face immediately. It did not cross his mind that Duan Lingtian's speed was so fast, but he was still holding back. Moreover, he had held back 20% of his speed. For a moment, a sense of defeat rose in his heart. Although Duan Lingtian's current speed had yet to reach the speed of an intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator, he was not far from it. At the very least, he was 20% faster than Duan Lingtian's full speed. What did it mean to be 20% faster? This could be seen from the fact that Duan Lingtian had left Zhang Ji in the dust in an instant. So fast. This speed. I'm afraid it's not much slower than an ordinary intermediate quintessential saint stage powerhouse, right? This is too exaggerated. It's completely different from 10 days ago. Duan Lingtian's sudden burst of speed not only shocked Zhang Ji, but it also shocked the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were watching the fight. So fast. Jianghu's expression turned solemn as well. Although he had already taken half a step into the intermediate quintessential saint stage, his speed was not much slower than an ordinary intermediate quintessential saint stage powerhouse. However, compared to Duan Lingtian's current speed, he was 20% slower. His current speed was only comparable to Zhang Ji's current speed. I can't believe Zhang Ji's strength has increased so much after he came out of closed-door cultivation. He's already comparable to me in terms of speed. Zhang Ji was Jianghu's old rival. Naturally, Jianghu felt pressured when he saw his old rival's strength had increased so much. It's only been 10 days, but why does it feel like Duan Lingtian has become a completely different person? Although his speed was fast 10 days ago, it was only close to an ordinary early quintessential saint stage powerhouse. However, his current speed is the fastest among those below the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Unbelievable. Did he really only make a breakthrough in his cultivation base in these 10 days? This is unbelievable. Duan Lingtian's speed had shocked most of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were shocked were the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who had witnessed the death duel between Duan Lingtian and Gulong 10 days ago. Due to the fact that the battle 10 days ago was not that long ago, they still remembered it clearly. At that time, Duan Lingtian's speed was not as fast as he was now. His speed had increased so much in just 10 days. While they were shocked, their hearts couldn't help but tremble. This was because the increase in his speed was just too ridiculous. So what if you're faster than me? Your strength is only temporarily increased by the assist-type divine ability. How long can you last? Zhang Ji slowed down slightly when he saw he could not catch up to Duan Lingtian. He snorted coldly and said disdainfully, "If you run away now, you won't be able to escape. Otherwise, once the effect of your assist-type divine ability wears off, I'll torture you however I want. If you're afraid, you can admit defeat and run away now. Otherwise, once you fall into my hands, even if I don't dare to kill or cripple you due to the sex rules, I'll still torture you until you're better off dead." When Zhang Ji reached the end of his sentence, his tone was extremely cold as though it came from an ice cave. It caused the temperature in the surroundings to drop by a few degrees. Zhang Ji. At this moment, Duan Lingtian, who was fleeing in the distance, turned around in time. He looked at Zhang Ji calmly and said in a clear voice, "Although I know you're trying to provoke me, I still want to tell you that whether it's before or now, I have no intention of running away. At the very least, you, Zhang Ji, don't have the ability to make me, Duan Lingtian, run away." His words were irrefutable, and every mouthful of saliva was like a nail. Well said. If you don't want to run away, why are you running away? Do you dare to fight me, Zhang Ji, fair and square? Zhang Ji had a mocking smile on his face. When he reached the end of his sentence, he continued to provoke Zhang Ji. "If you don't dare to fight me, you're just a piece of trash, a coward. A person like you shouldn't stay in the Black Turtle Sanctum and Zoroastrianism. You'll only embarrass yourself." Although Duan Lingtian knew Zhang Ji was trying to provoke him, he could not help but feel furious at this moment. "Zhang Ji, since you want to fight me fair and square, I'll fulfill your wish." As Duan Lingtian shouted coldly, he activated his golden crow's wings. In just a blink of an eye, he appeared next to Zhang Ji and instantly cast his divine ability, the Otherworldly Celestial. Whoosh! Under the watchful eyes of the others, Duan Lingtian soared up into the sky. When he appeared again, he had already descended from the sky in a menacing manner. However, when one Duan Lingtian soared up into the sky, 3 Duan Lingtian returned. It was impossible to distinguish the real one from the fake Duan Lingtian. 300 inscription saint swords charged toward Zhang Ji with killing intent. It was as though they were going to kill Zhang Ji in just 3 strikes. Is this a divine ability? What a powerful divine ability. This divine ability? I'm afraid it's a high-grade divine ability. At this moment, many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples with a high cultivation base could see how extraordinary the divine ability, the Otherworldly Celestial, that Duan Lingtian had cast was. Although Duan Lingtian had yet to master the divine ability, the Otherworldly Celestial, perfectly, when combined with the second stage of the Supreme Sword Dao mental cultivation method, the Sovereign Heart Sword, the power it unleashed was extraordinary. People could not help but suspect it was a high-grade divine ability. 10 days ago, when Gulong died, there was a bloody hole in each of the 3 vital points on his body. It seems like he died because of this sword divine ability that Duan Lingtian cast. At that time, Duan Lingtian had consolidated his territory, so I didn't see what he did. Now, I finally know what he did in his territory that day. As expected, it's an instant kill with 3 strikes. However, it's not as simple as a martial tactic. This sword divine ability must be a high-grade divine ability. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene shifted their attention to the divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, that Duanling Tian had cast. This divine ability had completely attracted their attention. 3 strikes descended from the sky like sword celestials descending from the sky. Otherworldly celestial. 3 high-grade divine abilities? Jianghu, who was watching from afar, was also dumbstruck at this moment. It was as though he had been petrified. The scene before his eyes dealt a huge blow to him. At the same time he was deeply shocked. He's just an exemplary saint stage martial cultivator, but he can cast such a powerful attack. It seems like his assist-type divine ability is indeed a high-grade assist-type divine ability. Moreover, the sword divine ability he cast now must be a high-grade divine ability as well. Needless to say, that movement divine ability of his is definitely a high-grade divine ability. Zhang Ji's expression turned grave when he saw the divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, that Duanling Tian had cast. Although his expression was grave, his heart was filled with shock. He managed to comprehend and master 3 high-grade divine abilities. What does Duanling Tian do to deserve this? Although Zhang Ji was shocked, a fire of jealousy that seemed capable of burning everything rose in his heart. Zhang Ji was an early quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Until now, he had only managed to comprehend and master 2 medium-grade divine abilities and 1 high-grade divine ability. However, this fellow was only an exemplary saint stage martial cultivator, but he managed to comprehend and master 3 high-grade divine abilities. In comparison, there was only jealousy left in his heart. Flames of jealousy burned in Zhang Ji's eyes as he looked at Duanling Tian. The coldness in his eyes intensified. If looks could kill, Zhang Ji would have cut Duanling Tian into 1,000 pieces. The sword divine ability is not bad, but it's a pity the person using it is too weak. Zhang Ji snorted coldly in the face of the 300 inscription saint swords that were descending from the sky. With a raise of his hands, a pair of gloves appeared on each of his fists. It was his 100 inscription saint weapon. The gloves were completely black and did not have any luster. It was unknown what material it was made of. However, since it was a 100 inscription saint weapon, it was naturally not an ordinary pair of gloves. Shattering mountains and rivers fist. Faced with Duanling Tian, who was like 3 sword celestials and the 3 swords that were like celestial swords, Zhang Ji shouted loudly as he clenched his fists and charged forward fearlessly. Chapter 1935. Bam. Bam. Zhang Ji punched out with both of his fists. Not only did he have the power of a 100 inscription saint weapon, but he also had a set of fist techniques and one of the 3 divine abilities he had mastered. It was the offensive divine ability, Mountain and River Fist. This divine ability was the only high-grade divine ability among the 3 divine abilities he had mastered. Boom, boom, boom. Zhang Ji punched out with both of his fists. It was as though he could shatter the heavens. Wherever his fists passed, it was as though 2 dragons were sweeping out toward the 100 inscription saint sword in the hands of the 3 Duanling Tians who were charging at him like sword celestials. When the 2 of them collided, another loud explosion reverberated in the air. Heaven and earth seemed to have changed color. What a powerful force. Is this a high-grade divine ability? Duanling Tian, who had cast the otherworldly celestial, felt the blood in his body churning when he collided with Zhang Ji's fists. At the same time, he discovered Zhang Ji's force had overpowered his and was charging toward him. Duanling Tian's expression changed drastically. He did not expect Zhang Ji to have mastered a high-grade offensive divine ability. Moreover, he chose to fight the high-grade divine ability the otherworldly celestial head-on. It was as though he was not worried about being injured by the sword chi. His defense is so strong? In the next moment, Duanling Tian made another discovery. The armor formed by Zhang Ji's domain seemed to perfectly fuse with the defensive moves and defensive divine abilities he used. The sword chi released by Transcendent Flying Immortal could not hurt him at all. No wonder he dares to fight me head-on. As soon as this thought appeared in Duanling Tian's mind, he noticed Zhang Ji's energy had already arrived in front of him and was about to hit him. Trash. At the same time, Zhang Ji's disdainful voice entered Duanling Tian's ears. Duanling Tian instantly felt the vital energy and blood in his body surging up. He was so angry that he forgot he could transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior and use his powerful body to withstand the impact of the energy. At this moment he felt his head heat up. At the same time that he was extremely angry, his mental energy started to become strangely restless. Devouring tactic. Soul attack. Duanling Tian did not know why he did not transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior when he was on the verge of losing his mind. Instead, he cast the divine ability, the devouring tactic, and the strange pupil's soul attack. The devouring tactic was known to devour all energy. Naturally, this included his opponent's energy. Duanling Tian knew about this in the past, but he had never tried it before. This was because the information about the devouring technique mentioned that if one used the devouring technique to devour the power of an owner, they would suffer an extremely terrifying backlash. Due to this reason, Duanling Tian did not dare to recklessly attempt it. At this moment he subconsciously cast the devouring tactic. Duanling Tian felt a great sense of pressure from the energy that was charging at him. However, when Duanling Tian subconsciously cast the devouring tactic, a whirlpool appeared with his body as the center and devoured the force. In the next moment, Duanling Tian experienced what a backlash was. The force that was devoured did not belong to him at all. It rampaged through his body and shook his internal organs. In the end, Duanling Tian felt so much pain that he wanted to die. You're seeking death. Although Zhang Ji was surprised that Duanling Tian could cast the assist-type divine ability to devour his force, he sneered when he realized he could still control the force. He controlled the force to run amok in Duanling Tian's body. Whoosh. At this moment, Duanling Tian's left eye, the strange pupil, flashed. A solidified dragon-shaped soul attack shot out and entered Zhang Ji's body before he could react. After the soul attack entered Zhang Ji's body, it went straight for his soul. Boom. Although the soul attack was weak compared to Zhang Ji's early quintessential Saint Stage soul, it still caused Zhang Ji's soul to tremble when it collided with it. Soul attack. At the same time, Zhang Ji's expression changed slightly. He did not expect Duanling Tian would still be able to cast a soul attack on him under such circumstances. Although the soul attack was not powerful, it still caused his soul to tremble. As a result, Zhang Ji was momentarily absent-minded. While Zhang Ji was in a daze, the connection between him and the force was temporarily severed. Devour. Duanling Tian exerted his strength and completely devoured Zhang Ji's force, turning it into a part of his body. At this moment, Duanling Tian realized he could no longer control the force in his body. This was because he had already devoured a large amount of heaven and earth spirit energy in his surroundings to elevate his Sun Saint energy to the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Now that he had devoured Zhang Ji's force, he was instantly overloaded. After being overloaded, Duanling Tian felt as though his body was about to explode. His 99 saint veins seemed as though they would explode at any moment. Go. At this moment, Duanling Tian, who was tormented by this overload of energy, could no longer endure it. With a raise of his hand, he instinctively pushed his palm forward. The overloaded power also flowed out of his palm and surged toward Zhang Ji, who was not far in front of him. Swoosh. Duanling Tian's palm came too quickly and without any warning. Horror dawned on Zhang Ji's face as he hastily mobilized the devil chi in his body to defend himself. At this moment, the armor on Zhang Ji's body turned even darker. Boom. In the next moment, the force that almost caused Duanling Tian's body to explode surged out of his palm and slammed onto Zhang Ji's body, drowning him. Bang. A loud noise resonated in the air as Zhang Ji was sent flying like an arrow that was shot out from a bow. He was in a wretched state. Even the black armor on his body had disappeared without a trace. It was as though it had been shattered by the force that surged out of Duanling Tian's palm. After being blasted away, Zhang Ji's body fell to the ground with a loud thud, no longer moving. He's dead. Upon seeing this, horror dawned on Duanling Tian's face. The battle between him and Zhang Ji was not a death duel. If one of them died, he would not be able to escape the punishment of Zoroastrianism. As for the other people present on the scene, they were all dumbstruck. The only sound that could be heard was Duanling Tian's rapid breathing. Wah! However, when he saw Zhang Ji's body tremble and his head shake as he regained consciousness and spat out a mouthful of blood, Duanling Tian heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that he was not dead. I must have been possessed just now. Thinking about what he had done under the pressure of Zhang Ji's power, Duanling Tian's mouth could not help but twitch violently. If the heavens gave him another chance, he would not have impulsively used the devouring technique to devour Zhang Ji's power. At the very least, he would not have devoured it before the power was out of Zhang Ji's control. If not for the strange pupil's timely soul attack that interfered with Zhang Ji, I would have been killed by the power that I devoured. Thinking about what had just happened, Duanling Tian felt a lingering fear in his heart. Even if I interfered with Zhang Ji and successfully devoured that power, I was already overloaded. I would have exploded. If I had exploded, I would not even have a corpse left. No matter what, Duan Lingtian did not want to experience what had just happened again. Even if the power that he had devoured was extremely terrifying and was comparable to the full-force attack of an ordinary intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator, he did not want to experience it again. All the energy in my body has been completely drained. At the same time, Duan Lingtian felt a sense of emptiness in his body. All the energy in his body had been drained away. This feeling of emptiness was similar to when he had used the Jasper Celestial Sword to drain all his energy. The might of that attack earlier, even if it's compared to the might of the Jasper Celestial Sword that I can unleash with all my strength, I'm afraid it's not far off, right? However, compared to the feeling of emptiness in my body when all my energy has been drained away, the former really makes me want to die. In any case, I don't want to experience it again. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Duan Lingtian sighed in relief after he glanced at Zhang Ji, who was lying on the ground, to make sure he was not dead or crippled and had only temporarily lost his ability to move. Zhang Ji, from now on, your Secundus house belongs to me, Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian glanced at Zhang Ji indifferently before he said coldly with the last of his strength. In the next instant, he used the last of his strength to hastily fly into Zhang Ji's Secundus house and close the door with a loud bang. After entering the house, Duan Lingtian collapsed on the ground. He could not stand up again. He could not even get up for a long time. Outside, Zhang Ji, who had regained consciousness, was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood when he heard Duan Lingtian's words that he fainted immediately. Zhang Ji was really unlucky. The power that had injured him to such an extent had mostly come from himself. Most of the energy belonged to him, but a portion of it belonged to Duan Lingtian as well. When the two energies were stacked together, it stirred restlessly in Duan Lingtian's body. When it was about to explode, the energy contained in it was not as simple as 1 + 1. In the end, Duan Lingtian had no choice but to release the restless energy toward Zhang Ji, who was standing in front of him. The energy that was equivalent to the full force of an ordinary intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator easily broke through Zhang Ji's layers of defense. Not only that, but it also heavily injured Zhang Ji and sent him flying. This was because Zhang Ji had extraordinary strength and was a devil cultivator who specialized in tempering his body. If it was another ordinary early quintessential saint stage powerhouse, he would have died from that attack. After Duan Lingtian hastily entered the Secundus house and Zhang Ji fainted, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples finally regained their senses. Gasp, 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 gasp. Chapter 1936. He lost. Senior brother Zhang Ji lost. How's this possible? If I'm not mistaken, the attack that senior brother Zhang Ji cast earlier seemed to contain the high-grade fist divine ability, the Mountain and River Fist. I can't believe senior brother Zhang Ji managed to comprehend it and master it. With senior brother Zhang Ji's current strength, the Mountain and River Fist that he cast is not as powerful as an ordinary powerhouse at the intermediate quintessential saint stage. However, it seems like he didn't manage to injure senior brother Duan Lingtian at all. Not only did he not injure senior brother Duan Lingtian, but he was even heavily injured and defeated by Duan Lingtian. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene gasped before an uproar broke out. Earlier, when Duan Lingtian's divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, collided head-on with Zhang Ji's divine ability, the Mountain and River's Punch, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples was shocked. Prior to this, they did not know both of them had mastered high-grade offensive divine abilities. If they thought Duan Lingtian had a chance of winning when they saw Duan Lingtian had cast his high-grade offensive divine ability, none of them thought Duan Lingtian had a chance of winning when Zhang Ji cast his high-grade offensive divine ability as well. This was because Zhang Ji's strength was much stronger than Duan Lingtian. Coupled with the explosive power of his high-grade offensive divine ability, he would definitely be able to defeat Duan Lingtian. Even if Duan Lingtian had also cast a high-grade offensive divine ability, he would still be able to withstand it. What happened next was just as they had expected. Zhang Ji's energy easily destroyed Duan Lingtian's energy before it continued to blast toward Duan Lingtian without slowing down at all. Just when they thought Duan Lingtian would be heavily injured and sent flying, they saw a shocking scene. A scene that made them feel incomparably horrified appeared. With Duan Lingtian as the center, a terrifying vortex suddenly appeared. It was the support-type divine ability that he had used before. After the vortex appeared, it actually swallowed up all of Zhang Ji's attacking power. Following that, Duan Lingtian struck out with his palm. He combined the power that he had swallowed from Zhang Ji with his own power, turning it into a terrifying power that he unleashed at Zhang Ji. Even though Zhang Ji defended with all his might, he still ended up heavily injured. Although he wasn't dead or crippled, Zhang Ji wouldn't be able to stand up without half a day of recovery. What exactly is that support-type divine ability that senior martial brother Duan Lingtian mastered? Not only can it absorb the surrounding spiritual energy to strengthen itself for a short period of time, it can even absorb the opponent's energy. It's too terrifying. Based on the current situation, even the support-type divine ability from the Azure Dragon Sanctum is far from comparable to the support-type divine ability that senior martial brother Duan Lingtian has mastered. In my opinion, let alone the support-type divine ability from the Azure Dragon Sanctum, even the number 1 support-type divine ability from Zoroastrianism might not be comparable to the support-type divine ability that senior martial brother Duan Lingtian has mastered. Soon after, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples recalled the crucial moment when Duan Lingtian had turned the tables. It was the support-type divine ability that Duan Lingtian had cast that turned the tables at the last moment. Otherwise he would have lost. The high-grade support-type divine ability, the devouring tactic, that Duan Lingtian had mastered instantly became the topic of discussion among the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. I've never heard of senior martial brother Duan Lingtian's support-type divine ability before. Me too. I've never heard of it before. What a terrifying support-type divine ability. Soon after, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples discovered something. There were so many of them, but none of them had heard of the support-type divine ability that Duan Lingtian had cast before. Moreover, they did not even know the name of the support-type divine ability. For a time, Duan Lingtian's support-type divine ability became even more mysterious in their hearts. What a terrifying support-type divine ability. Even Jianghu, who had half a foot in the intermediate quintessential saint stage, was shocked when he regained his senses. He was shocked that Duan Lingtian had managed to turn the tables and defeat Zhang Ji with his support-type divine ability at the last moment. In fact, when Zhang Ji had cast the high-grade offensive divine ability, the Mountain and River Fist, even he did not think Duan Lingtian would be able to defeat him. At that moment, Zhang Ji's strength was already enough to fight him to a draw. I can't believe Zhang Ji has successfully comprehended the high-grade divine ability, the Mountain and River Fist, that his master passed down to him. Even if I were to fight him now, I'm not confident I'll be able to defeat him. At most, we'll be evenly matched. A hint of dread could be seen in Jiangchu's eyes as he looked at Zhang Ji, who was lying unconscious on the ground. The strength that Zhang Ji had displayed after he came out of closed-door cultivation made Jiangchu feel pressured. After taking a deep breath, Jiangchu glanced at the Secundus house that originally belonged to Zhang Ji and Duan Lingtian before he returned to his Secundus house and entered closed-door cultivation. I won't come out of closed-door cultivation until I've broken through to the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Jiangchu made up his mind before he entered closed-door cultivation. At some point, Zhang Ji had regained consciousness again. However, because his injuries were too severe, it was difficult for him to even move. All the bones and muscles in his body seemed to have solidified. Although many of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples had left, many of them were still discussing among themselves. Naturally, they were discussing the battle earlier. At the beginning of the battle earlier, I had absolute confidence in senior brother Zhang Ji. However, I didn't expect senior brother Zhang Ji would be defeated in the end. Senior brother Duan Lingtian's strength is too heaven-defying. The strength that senior brother Zhang Ji displayed with his high-grade divine ability, the Mountain River Fist, is definitely one of the top powerhouses at the early quintessential saint stage. Even then, he still lost to senior brother Duan Lingtian. I remember that before the battle began, senior brother Zhang Ji seemed to have said that he'd make senior brother Duan Lingtian suffer a fate worse than death. He's right. However, the person who would suffer a fate worse than death isn't senior brother Duan Lingtian. It's him. Speaking of this, I can't help but say that senior brother Duan Lingtian has a good temper. If it were me, I would have mocked him after I defeated senior brother Zhang Ji. I would have made him pay for all the humiliation he gave me. That's right. Senior brother Duan Lingtian has a good temper. He's a great man who doesn't hold grudges against others. The group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves. They did not notice that Zhang Ji had already woken up. Upon hearing their words, Zhang Ji's face flushed red. His eyes widened before he fainted again. However, these Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples did not know that it was not because Duan Lingtian had a good temper that he did not mock Zhang Ji after he defeated him. It was because he was in a very bad situation at that time. He was already at the end of his tether. He did not have the energy to mock Zhang Ji at all. Otherwise, with his temper, he would have slapped Zhang Ji's face mercilessly. Before he exhausted his last bit of energy, he only managed to say one sentence to announce his victory. Zhang Ji, from today onward, your Secundus house belongs to me, Duanling Tian. These words proved that he was the final victor of today's battle, Duanling Tian. Otherwise, if he had collapsed in public due to exhaustion, this battle would have been considered a draw at most. A draw was not what Duanling Tian wanted. In the Secundus house that originally belonged to Zhang Ji and now belonged to Duanling Tian. As Duanling Tian collapsed on the ground, his body was gradually recovering. Not only did he recover his Sun Saint energy, but his physical and mental exhaustion was also restored. At the same time, Duanling Tian's consciousness that was originally a little blurry gradually became clearer. I can't believe that Zhang Ji has a high-grade offensive divine ability as his trump card. When Duanling Tian recalled the earlier scene, he could not help but gasp. Faced with Zhang Ji, who had mastered a high-grade divine ability, even if he transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, he might not be a match for him. If this dragged on, he would definitely be the one to lose. Fortunately, he had instinctively cast the devouring tactic at the critical moment. Coupled with his soul attack, he managed to defeat Zhang Ji in one fell swoop. The reason he was able to win this battle was mostly due to luck. With the strength Zhang Ji displayed, I'm afraid there aren't many people below the intermediate quintessential saint stage who's a match for him. If I want to defeat him easily, I'll have to break through to the mastery divine saint stage before he breaks through to the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Duanling Tian thought to himself. However, with my current green innate spiritual root, coupled with the assistance from the Secundus house and the time flow on the 4th level of the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda, I'll be able to break through to the mastery divine saint stage in a month at most. When Duanling Tian thought about his innate spiritual root that had transformed, a confident expression appeared on his face. Naturally, a month was the time in the outside world. A month in the outside world was equivalent to 10 months in the 4th level of the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda. No matter what, I won't use the devouring tactic to devour energy that already has an owner unless it's necessary. Moreover, I won't overload the energy in my body. Not only will I feel uncomfortable, but there's also the risk of my body exploding. Earlier, if it was not for Duanling Tian releasing all of his overloaded energy in time, he would have been blown apart by that energy. Zhang Ji is really unlucky. I can't use the energy that I've overloaded. At that time, I only had time to push my palm forward. Zhang Ji happened to be facing me. When Duanling Tian recalled the earlier scene, a gloating expression appeared on his face. Duanling Tian was unaware of this. At this moment, an uninvited guest arrived at the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder. This uninvited guest was none other than Yang Chong, the 5th Elder of the Northern Plethora sect, a first-rate force in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Chapter 1937. Old friend. I'm sorry for what happened to Wu. Facing the travel-worn Yang Chong, before Yang Chong could greet him, Lian took the initiative to apologize with a guilty look on his face. Apex said. Yang Chong was a tall old man with an ordinary appearance. He had white hair and eyebrows and he looked like an iron tower as he stood there. Yang Chong shook his head in response to Lian's apology. I can understand your difficulties. If I were you, I would have made the same choice as you. That's why I don't blame you for Wu's death. He had heard about the incident from the old servant, by his son's side, so he could understand Lian's choice. If Lian had interfered at that time, the matter would have been blown up. This matter concerned the reputation of Zoroastrianism. The higher-ups of Zoroastrianism would have chosen to abandon Lian to preserve the reputation of Zoroastrianism. At that time, Lian would have been expelled from Zoroastrianism. Therefore he could understand why Lian did not help him at that time. Don't worry, I'll avenge Wu for him. Lian felt even more guilty when he saw Yang Chong's understanding. His gaze turned cold as he vowed solemnly. Bring me to the person who killed my son. However, Yang Chong did not seem to care about Lian's solemn vow. He looked at Lian and said indifferently, all right. Lian was not surprised when he heard that Yang Chong wanted to meet the Duanling Tian. He immediately led the way. Along the way, Lian saw that Yang Chong was silent. He knew that although Yang Chong did not blame him verbally, he still blamed him in his heart. However, this was normal and he did not mind. That Duanling Tian killed one of my direct disciples 10 days ago. I won't be able to eat or sleep in peace if he's not dead. Lian suddenly said in a deep voice with killing intent in his eyes. The reason Lian brought up this matter was not only because he hated the Duanling Tian, but also because he wanted to break the silence between him and Yang Chong. You're going to accept a direct disciple? Sure enough, upon hearing Lian's words, Yang Chong immediately looked over. At the same time, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. As far as he knew, Lian had very high standards. His 3 direct disciples were all martial Dao geniuses with blue innate spiritual roots. Yes. Lian nodded. At the same time he mentioned Gu Chun, Gu Long, Gu Chun's cousin, and the fact that Gu Long was killed by Duanling Tian. In the end, the murderous glint in his eyes shot out in all directions, and the murderous intent on his body was so cold that when it spread out, it seemed to make the surrounding temperature drop a little. I'm even more curious now. What kind of person dares to offend you, the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder? Needless to say, Li An's complaint had helped Yang Chong's state of mind become much more balanced. As it turned out, it was not only his son who was killed by that person, but his direct disciple who possessed a blue innate spiritual root whom Lian had been dreaming of. At this moment, when facing Lian, Yang Chong had the feeling of being in the same boat, and the last trace of dissatisfaction in his heart vanished without a trace. Did you hear that? That newcomer Duanling Tian is in the limelight again after killing Gu Long 10 days ago. When Lian and Yang Chong passed by the altar in the center of the Black Turtle Sanctum, they suddenly heard a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple shouting from below. Since Lian and Yang Chong were flying above the clouds, the people around the altar did not notice them. Otherwise, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples around the altar would have taken the initiative to greet Lian, Duanling Tian. When Lian and Yang Chong heard the name, Duanling Tian, they looked at each other and stopped in unison. They pricked up their ears to listen to the conversation between the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples below. Are you talking about how Duanling Tian defeated senior brother Zhang Ji in a domineering manner in the Secundus house today? That's right. It seems like you've heard it as well. How could I not have heard it? Currently, as long as the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples are not in closed-door cultivation or have not left the Black Turtle Sanctum, I'm sure most of them know about this, right? Get up. That Duanling Tian is really strong. He can even defeat Zhang Ji. The conversation between the 2 Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples entered Lian and Yang Chong's ears. Secundus house. Yang Chong's eyes widened immediately. Although he was not a member of Zoroastrianism, he had learned about the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples from Lian in the past since he was a good friend of Lian. Based on what he knew, the people who lived in the Secundus house were all Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were at the quintessential saint stage or above. Lian, didn't you say earlier that the strength Duanling Tian displayed 10 days ago was only comparable to an elite martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage? It has only been 10 days, but he's already able to fight for the Secundus house in the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' residence? Yang Chong asked with a frown on his face as he looked at Lian. After a while, before Lian could reply, he continued to ask, I remember you told me before that the Secundus house in the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' residence is reserved for quintessential saint stage disciples. Their Zhang Ji is a quintessential saint stage disciple who lives in the Secundus house? After Yang Chong finished speaking, Lian did not reply. Then Yang Chong was shocked to see Lian's expression had changed drastically. An expression of disbelief could be seen on his face as his eyes shone with disbelief. What's wrong? Yang Chong could not help but ask when he saw this. Zhang Ji is the direct disciple of one of the Silver Flame Elders in our Black Turtle Sanctum. He's one of the elite early quintessential saint stage disciples in our Black Turtle Sanctum. His cultivation base is so powerful that he's only a step away from breaking through to the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Lian said solemnly. One of the elite early quintessential saint stage disciples in the Black Turtle Sanctum? Such a person actually lost to Duanling Tian? Yang Chong was shocked. However, what was even more shocking was yet to come. I heard that during the battle between senior brother Zhang Ji and Duanling Tian, he even cast the high-grade offensive divine ability, the Mountain River Fist. However, even then he still lost. When Lian heard the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' words, his eyes widened again. An expression of disbelief appeared on his face. How's this possible? In the next instant, Lian could not help but exclaim. Even though he mastered a high-grade offensive divine ability, he still lost to Duanling Tian? Yang Chong's expression turned grave as he muttered to himself. It seems like Duanling Tian didn't even use his full strength when he fought with Gu Long 10 days ago. Then, Lian and Yang Chong learned more about the battle between Duanling Tian and Zhang Ji. They did not miss any details at all. In the end, they looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Duan Tian had actually mastered 3 high-grade divine abilities? Not only that, but the high-grade assist-type divine ability that Duan Tian had mastered had even absorbed Zhang Ji's powerful attack at the most critical moment. Then he had used Zhang Ji's strength and his own strength to heavily injure and defeat Zhang Ji in one fell swoop. What kind of assist-type divine ability is that? Lian and Yang Chong looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes again. Soon after, they learned from each other that they had never heard of such an assist-type divine ability before. What a domineering assist-type divine ability! Yang Chong said in a deep voice. It's domineering indeed. What did Duan Tian do to deserve God's favor? Not only did he comprehend 3 high-grade divine abilities, but this assist-type divine ability is obviously not an ordinary high-grade divine ability. In fact, it might even be a top-notch high-grade divine ability. Lian's eyes turned red as he spoke. A hint of jealousy could be seen on his face. In the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Inside the Secundus house, Duan Tian, who had recovered for a while, finally had the strength to stand up. After he stood up, he immediately entered the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. He planned to make use of the slow flow of time inside to recover his Sun Saint energy as soon as possible. The feeling of emptiness in his body caused him to feel insecure. After I've recovered, I'll go into closed-door cultivation to raise my cultivation base to the peak of the Divine Saint stage first. At the same time, Duan Tian set a goal and a plan for himself. As for the Exemplary Saint stage, Duan Tian did not dare to think about it for now. Currently, his cultivation base had only just broken through to the intermediate Divine Saint stage. Duan Tian did not know how long had passed. When the Sun Saint energy in his body had only recovered by 10%, a cold voice resonated from outside and woke him up. Lian. Duan Tian was no stranger to this voice. It belonged to the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder. Lian, why is he here? Don't tell me he has something to do with Zhang Ji? Duan Tian frowned and left the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda in the end. After he put the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda away, he pushed the door open and walked out to the courtyard in front of the Secundus house. As soon as Duan Tian walked out of the Secundus house, he could clearly feel many pairs of eyes on him. Among these pairs of eyes, there were 2 pairs of eyes that were the most piercing. These 2 pairs of eyes were filled with killing intent as though they were about to devour someone. Who's he? Duan Tian's eyes swept past Lian and landed on the tall old man next to him. A hint of confusion could be seen in his eyes. He was not surprised that Lian wanted to kill him. However, he was certain this was his first time seeing this old man. Moreover, the old man was not wearing the Zoroastrianism's uniform, so he was most likely not a Zoroastrianism member. Duan Tian could not figure out how he had offended the old man to the point that the old man was filled with killing intent towards him. It was as though the old man could not wait to kill him. You're Duan Tian? At this moment, the tall old man spoke in a deep voice that was close to interrogating Duan Tian. Who are you? Duan Tian asked in response to the old man's question. You. Kill yourself. Chapter 1938. The group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who came to watch the show when they heard Lian calling out to Duan Tian were stunned when they heard what the tall old man said to Duan Tian. They only regained their senses after a while. This old man actually asked Duan Tian to commit suicide? Who's he? At this moment, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene were curious about the old man's identity. Commit suicide? Duan Tian was stunned when he heard the tall old man's words. Then, he narrowed his eyes as a cold gleam flashed in them. When Duan Tian noticed the killing intent in the old man's eyes when he looked at him, combined with what the old man had said to him earlier and the fact that the old man was standing beside Lian. At this moment, no matter how slow Duan Tian's reaction was, he had already guessed the old man's identity. It was the Northern Plethora sect's 5th elder Yang Chong. He was also the father of Jianghu, whom he had killed in the past. Based on what he knew, Yang Chong and Lian were best friends. Yang Chong, this is not the Northern Plethora sect, and I'm not a disciple of the Northern Plethora sect. You must be dreaming if you want me to commit suicide, don't you think? Duan Tian leaped into the air and stopped at the same level as Yang Chong. He glanced at Yang Chong lazily and said nonchalantly, Yang Chong. The moment Duan Tian's words left his mouth, it caused a commotion among the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. So he's Yang Chong, the Northern Plethora sect's 5th elder. The powerhouse who's ranked 146th on the Supreme Saint ranking. I've long heard that the Northern Plethora sect's fifth elder Yang Chong is best friends with our Black Turtle Sanctum's elder Lien. However, this is my first time meeting the Northern Plethora sect's fifth elder. He seems to have some enmity with Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian has just arrived in the Black Turtle Sanctum, but he has already offended elder Lien. This matter is no longer a secret in the Black Turtle Sanctum. However, not everyone knows the reason why Duan Lingtian offended elder Lien in the first place. The first place? What is the reason? As soon as Duan Lingtian arrived at the Black Turtle Sanctum, he was challenged by Jianghu, the son of Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect. Then Jianghu even challenged him to a death duel. The result of the death match was Jianghu's death. Elder Lien was also present at that time. So that's how it is. He killed the son of Elder Lian's good friend in front of him. It would be strange if Elder Lien wasn't angry. You can't say it like that. You know, the conflict between Duan Lingtian and Jianghu was purely Jianghu's provocation, and the death match was also initiated by Jianghu. Anyway, I don't think Duan Lingtian is wrong for killing Jianghu. As they whispered among themselves, those Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who did not know how Duan Lingtian had offended Lien finally learned the reason why Duan Lingtian had offended Lien. For this reason, they were no longer surprised when they recalled what Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, had said to Duan Lingtian earlier. They only felt that Yang Chong was too arrogant. Did he really think this was the Northern Plethora sect? Did he really think his identity as the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect was useful here? I'll give you one last chance. Kill yourself within the span of 10 breaths. If you miss this opportunity, you won't have another chance. Yang Chong said again and asked Duan Lingtian to kill himself. Moreover, he gave Duan Lingtian a time limit of 10 breaths. His words were extremely domineering. It was as though he would take revenge on Duan Lingtian if Duan Lingtian did not kill himself within the span of 10 breaths. Upon hearing Yang Chong's words, an ominous feeling rose in Duan Lingtian's heart. However, he quickly suppressed it and looked at Yang Chong with a mocking smile on his face. Yang Chong, is there something wrong with your ears? If there's something wrong with your ears, I'll say it again. When Duan Lingtian reached the end of his sentence, his face was filled with disdain. This is not the Northern Plethora sect. Your identity as the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect is useless here. The span of 10 breaths? Even if I don't kill myself within the span of 100 breaths, what can you do? Don't tell me you can kill me? Don't forget that this is the Black Turtle Sanctum, one of the 4 symbol sanctums under Zoroastrianism. It's not a place where you Yang Chong can act recklessly. Here you Yang Chong don't have the right to order a Zoroastrianism disciple around. You don't even have the right to decide the life and death of a Zoroastrianism disciple. Duan Lingtian's words were loud and clear. He was not courteous at all. Since the other party had already come to ask him to kill himself, if he still continued to be courteous, he would be admitting defeat. Admitting defeat? That was not Duan Lingtian's style. Duan Lingtian's words also gained the approval of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples felt their blood boiling. If they were not afraid of Lien, who was standing next to Yang Chong, they would have cheered loudly for Duan Lingtian. Yang Chong did not expect Duan Lingtian to be so rude. His expression turned grave immediately. Lien, who was standing next to him, had a horrified expression as well. He shouted coldly, Duan Lingtian, Elder Yang Chong is a guest of our Black Turtle Sanctum. As a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, how dare you be so presumptuous toward a distinguished guest of our Black Turtle Sanctum? Do you really think the rules of Zoroastrianism are fixed? The moment Lian's words left his mouth, many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples had a strange expression on their faces. Ha! Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, could not help but laugh out loud. Lian's expression turned grave as killing intent flashed in his eyes. If he was not worried about being punished by Zoroastrianism or being expelled from Zoroastrianism, he would have long attacked Duan Lingtian and killed Duan Lingtian. What are you laughing at? Lien shouted coldly again. His voice was so cold that it sounded as though it came from an ice cave. It sent chills down the spines of those who heard it. What am I laughing at? Upon hearing Lian's words, Duan Lingtian finally stopped laughing. He looked at Lien mockingly. Elder Lien, what am I laughing at? Aren't you asking the obvious? What distinguished guest of our Black Turtle Sanctum? In my opinion, he's a distinguished guest of yours, Elder Lien. Rules? Elder Lien, are you sure you want to talk about the rules with me? Although I don't really understand the rules of Zoroastrianism, I believe the rules of Zoroastrianism must be perfect since it has been passed down for so many years. There must be rules against people from our sect joining forces with outsiders to oppress our own people. When Duan Lingtian reached this part of his sentence, he looked at Lian meaningfully. This was equivalent to accusing Lian of joining forces with outsiders to oppress his own sect's disciples. Who did you say joined forces with outsiders to oppress our own people? Lian's face went grim. He never imagined that Duan Lingtian would actually dare to pin such a crime on him in public. Once this matter was spread out, it wouldn't be a good thing for him, Lian. Even in the Black Turtle Sanctum, there was still a sanctum leader who could suppress him. Let alone the entire Zoroastrianism. Duan Lingtian, do you know the crime of slandering another person, especially an elder of our sect? Lian's eyes were cold as he stared at Duan Lingtian like a venomous snake that would attack at any time. Slandering another person? Slandering an elder of our sect? Duan Lingtian smiled brightly. Elder Lian, you're saying I'm slandering another person? I wonder who I'm slandering? You said I'm slandering an elder of our sect. Where did this come from? There are so many senior brothers and senior sisters here, and any one of them is a witness. Who has ever heard of me slandering an elder of our sect? When the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene heard Duan Lingtian's shameless words, they could not help but laugh. Naturally, they did not dare to laugh out loud since they were afraid of Lian. In fact, when they heard Duan Lingtian's words, they felt proud and elated. It was obvious Lian had joined forces with an outsider to bully a disciple of his sect. Even if they were not Duan Lingtian, they still felt angry on behalf of Duan Lingtian. If Lian was bullying Duan Lingtian, it would be considered an internal conflict and they would not think much of it. However, Lian had joined forces with Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, to bully Duan Lingtian. As Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who practiced Zoroastrianism like Duan Lingtian, it was only natural that they felt the same way. An outsider was still an outsider after all. When Lian heard Duan Lingtian's shameless words, he was so angry that he was rendered speechless. Now that he thought about it, it seemed like Duan Lingtian did not name him and say he had joined forces with an outsider to bully a disciple of his sect. If he continued to argue, it would seem as though he had a guilty conscience. As expected, you're quite capable. At the same time, Yang Chong spoke again. He looked at Duan Lingtian and said nonchalantly, Duan Lingtian, 10 breaths have passed. You've given up on killing yourself to appease my anger. I hope you won't regret it in the future. Regret? Duan Lingtian sneered. What's there for me to regret? Originally, there are some things that I can't say even if you possess a green innate spiritual root. This is because I'm afraid of Zoroastrianism. Faced with Duan Lingtian's sneer, Yang Chong was enraged no matter how good he was at suppressing his anger. However, you're merely a mediocre person who possesses a yellow innate spiritual root. Even if I say it out loud, Zoroastrianism won't harm me because of you. Yes. As long as you, Duan Lingtian, continue to hide in Zoroastrianism, I, Yang Chong, won't be able to touch you. However, can you guarantee that your family and friends have a backer that I, Yang Chong, am afraid of? Yang Chong smiled sinisterly when he reached the end of his sentence. His words were a direct threat to Duan Lingtian. If I can't harm you, I'll harm your family and friends. I believe that with the Northern Plethora Sect's intelligence network, my strength and my methods, it won't be difficult for me to find out about you. Yang Chong said nonchalantly, unfortunately, you didn't kill yourself in the time I gave you. You've given up on the chance to protect your family and friends. I really feel sorry for them for having a family and friends like you. Duan Lingtian, even if you hide in Zoroastrianism forever, I'll let you experience the pain of losing all your family and friends. I, Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, am a man of my words. Chapter 1939. I, Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, am a man of my word. When Yang Chong reached the end of his sentence, his eyes were filled with killing intent. After he finished speaking, he looked at Duan Lingtian deeply before he sneered. Then he turned around and left. It was just as he had said. If Duan Lingtian was a disciple of Zoroastrianism with good innate talent, he would not dare to threaten Duan Lingtian with his friends and family. After all, the Zoroastrianism sect would be displeased if he did that. However, Duan Lingtian was only an ordinary disciple of Zoroastrianism who possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. Even if such a disciple of Zoroastrianism was threatened by an ordinary person, the Zoroastrianism sect would not stand up for him. Moreover, the person who threatened him was the fifth elder of the first-rate force, the Northern Plethora sect. Humph? After Yang Chong left, Lian glanced at Duan Lingtian coldly before he chased after Yang Chong. However, he did not say anything at this moment. He did not dare to say anything else. Even if he was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, he could not bear such a crime of colluding with outsiders to bully a disciple of his sect. Senior brother Duan Lingtian, well done. After Lian left with Yang Chong, the crowd burst into an uproar. Many people even gave Duan Lingtian a thumbs up. Duan Lingtian's outburst earlier had made them feel proud. Naturally, some of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples did not say anything. They merely looked at Duan Lingtian worriedly. They noticed Duan Lingtian's expression had turned grave at this moment. At this moment, they realized Yang Chong's threat to Duan Lingtian had worked. It seems like senior brother Duan Lingtian is not alone. If he's alone, he won't be bothered by Yang Chong's threat to his friends and family. But now, Yang Chong's threat is indeed unsolvable. Even if senior Duan Lingtian is highly talented and highly regarded by Zoroastrianism, Yang Chong wouldn't dare to threaten senior Duan Lingtian openly with his friends and family, but he would definitely do it in secret. If senior brother Duan Lingtian has friends and family, Yang Chong's threat is indeed unsolvable. Ruthless. Too ruthless. As the saying goes, one should not implicate one's family. That Yang Chong is really too much. The group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves. When they looked at Duan Lingtian again, a hint of pity could be seen in their eyes. In their opinion, if the Duan Lingtian really had friends and family and Yang Chong was determined to mess with them, then for the Duan Lingtian's friends and family, it was really a bit of a mystery. Duan Lingtian hovered in the air in the distance. His body did not move at all, but his expression changed again and again. At this moment, the words Yang Chong had said before he left were still echoing in his ears. Yes. As long as Duan Lingtian hides in Zoroastrianism, I, Yang Chong, won't be able to touch you. However, can you guarantee that your friends and family have a backer that I, Yang Chong, am afraid of? I believe with the Northern Plethora Sect's intelligence network, my strength and my methods, it won't be difficult for me to investigate your background. Unfortunately, you didn't commit suicide within the time I gave you. You gave up the chance to protect your friends and family. I really feel sorry for them for having a friend like you. Duan Lingtian, even if you hide in Zoroastrianism forever, I'll let you experience the pain of losing your friends and family. He knew very well that Yang Chong was not joking. After a while, Duan Lingtian finally regained his senses. Under the watchful eyes of the others, he returned to his Secundus house and disappeared before the eyes of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. At this moment, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples finally dispersed. However, the topic of discussion still revolved around Duan Lingtian and Yang Chong's threat to Duan Lingtian. As the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, Yang Chong indeed had the ability to take revenge on Duan Lingtian's friends and family. There was no doubt about this. Serves him right. In the distance, at the entrance of another Secundus house, Zhang Ji leaned against the door as his body trembled. Although his entire body was still in pain, his heart was filled with joy when he saw Duan Lingtian being threatened by Yang Chong. Duan Lingtian had defeated him in public today, and it could be said that he had lost all face. After today's battle, he had already regarded Duan Lingtian as his mortal enemy. If he had the chance in the future, he would definitely not let Duan Lingtian live in this world. He believed with his dark green innate spiritual root, it would be easy for him to surpass Duan Lingtian who possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. He could imagine the expression on Zhang Ji's face when he found out Duan Lingtian possessed the same dark green innate spiritual root as him. After returning to his room, Duan Lingtian's expression was still as grave as ever. However, as time passed by, he gradually calmed down. Yang Chong, you're despicable. After taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of foul air. At the same time, a murderous aura surged out of his body, causing the temperature in the surroundings to drop a few degrees. Duan Lingtian was truly enraged. He did not expect Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, a first-rate force in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, would dare to threaten Duan Lingtian's family and friends in front of so many people. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was filled with anger. However, he had nowhere to vent it. However, it won't be easy for Yang Chong to find out about me, Duan Lingtian. After all, I'm not from the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he sighed in relief. Naturally, this was only temporary. Although he was not from the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, Many people in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land had heard of his name since he possessed the Devil Seal tablet. Moreover, many people even had a portrait of him. It's a good thing I'm not using my true appearance now. When Duan Lingtian thought about how he had disguised himself, he felt that he had great foresight. Naturally, this did not mean that Yang Chong would not be able to find out about his whereabouts in the Debussy subterranean. It did not mean that Yang Chong would not be able to find out that he was the young mansion master of the Azure Cloud Mansion, a quasi-third-rate force in the Debussy subterranean. With Yang Chong's status, he would be able to find out about him sooner or later if he really wanted to. It was just a matter of time. One could imagine that once Yang Chong found out about his background, the Azure Cloud Mansion in the Debussy subterranean would definitely turn into a bloodbath. Not only that, but his father, his mother, his wife, and everyone he cared about would be killed as well. All of them would die without a burial place. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he shuddered in fear. His emotions that he had finally calmed down with great difficulty became agitated again. The most important thing now is to deal with the current hidden danger. I must deal with any hidden danger that might expose my background. After forcing himself to calm down again, Duan Lingtian immediately contacted Hua Lao and asked in a hurried and anxious tone, "Hua Lao, do you have any secret tactic or something that can resist the soul-searching secret tactic?" The soul-searching secret tactic was what Duan Lingtian was most worried about at this moment. If he was not careful and allowed Yang Chong or Lian to find an opportunity to capture him and use the soul-searching secret tactic on him, his background would be exposed from his own mouth. This was something he did not want to see. However, it was impossible to guard against this. For this reason he could only look for Hua Lao. It did not matter if Hua Lao had a method to resist the soul-searching secret tactic or not. He could only treat this as a last resort since he had no other choice. As Duan Lingtian asked Hua Lao, his heart was filled with anxiety. Yes. Upon hearing Hua Lao's reply, Duan Lingtian's heart finally calmed down. At the same time, a wild joy could be seen on his face. Following that, Elder Hua's voice resonated again. However, in order for that secret tactic to have the effect it should have, a certain amount of spiritual energy must be constantly consumed to maintain its operation. After 3 days of stopping its operation, the effect that it gives to the soul to resist the soul-searching secret tactic will disappear. The secret tactic does not have a high requirement on the caster. It only requires spiritual energy at the Divine Saint stage or above to cast it. Constantly consume a certain amount of spiritual energy to maintain its operation? In Duan Lingtian's opinion, as long as it could save his friends and family from danger for a short period of time, it was not a problem at all. After it stops operating, the effect will only last for 3 days at most? It was more than enough. Even if Lian and Yang Chong wanted to use the soul-searching secret tactic on him, they would definitely end it quickly and would not drag it out for so long. After all, they did not dare to be discovered. This was especially true for Lian. If someone discovered that he had used the soul-searching secret tactic on his disciples for no reason, he would definitely be severely punished by the Zoroastrianism. He might even be expelled from the Zoroastrianism. Hua Lao, quickly teach me that secret tactic. Duan Lingtian said to Hua Lao impatiently. He desperately wanted to obtain that secret tactic. To him, it was a life-saving talisman for his friends and family in the lower province. As though he could sense Duan Lingtian's impatience, Hua Lao instantly transformed the secret tactic into a stream of information that entered Duan Lingtian's mind so that Duan Lingtian could master it himself. Just as Hua Lao had said, the secret tactic did not have a high requirement on the caster. It only required one spiritual energy at the Divine Saint stage or above to cast it. For this reason, Duan Lingtian only spent 15 minutes to successfully cast it to protect his soul from the soul-searching secret tactic. The continuous consumption of my spiritual energy is still within an acceptable range. Duan Lingtian sighed in relief when he sensed that the consumption of his spiritual energy was not high and would not affect his daily life. Now, it's time for me to look for Senior Brother Gu Li and Palace Master Zhu. I must ask them to cast this secret tactic at all times. Otherwise, if Lian and Yang Chong used the soul-searching secret technique on them, my background would be exposed as well. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.